Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It's Joshua Thomas. Thank you so much for coming and clicking on this video. Today, I am going to be reviewing, recapping, talking all about Cobra Kai seasons 1 and 2 with some fellas from the channel So You Wanna Be an Imagineer. They do podcasts almost every day on a variety of Disney stuff, movies, TV shows. They have covered my channel, Just Giggle It, my show, Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the Real World. So they are in-depth podcasters that talk about these shows, and I am thrilled to finally jump on and talk about a show that I'm a fan of as well as them. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this in-depth conversation on seasons 1 and 2 of Cobra Kai.
Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And with us tonight is special guest star, the sensei of comedy, Joshua Thomas.
Thank you, Tiki-san. I appreciate that. It's a pleasure to be with you boys. Happy New Year. Doing this on the 1st. Feels good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're doing this on the 1st because a certain Netflix, decided to drop season 3 a week early, so we kind of had to scramble, like, okay, we got to talk about it, like, now, like, last week.
Well, and I know we've all talked about doing this, so it's really cool to finally have an excuse, like, oh, yeah, let's recap the first 2 seasons, because now the 3rd one's out, so very cool.
It's serendipitous, absolutely. So, boys and girls, tonight we are going through both season 1 and season 2. We're not going to go episode by episode. We're kind of going to break it down sort of based on the arcs and just kind of like break down just sort of this weird kind of like, you know, just to dive right into my thesis statement for this thing. I just vividly remember the first time I heard about this. I'm going to be straight up with you guys. I couldn't have been less interested. Because I like Karate Kid is one of those movies I saw like once or twice as a kid. I thought it was okay, like, but I'm not like, you know, I'm not one of those people that like lives and breathes Karate Kid. And I just feel like you know, of course the YouTube streaming shit, like what they're bringing back the Karate Kid via a YouTube streaming app. Like, what is this? Like, I'm never gonna watch that in my life. And then, of course, you know, the hype for it just builds and builds. And I'm hearing like, what that Netflix Karate Kid thing or that YouTube Karate Kid thing is actually taken off, and then Netflix buys it out, and sure enough, now it's pretty much like Netflix's new like big event TV show. And I freaking love this thing, man. Season one I watched kind of like in 2 halves. I kind of like sat down for one half, took a couple days off, sat down for the other half. Season 2, guys, I binged it all in one day today because I knew we were doing this. I like to keep things fresh in my head when we do these kind of things. Season 2 was like the easiest binge I have ever had in my life. I started it like when I woke up this morning. It was like it was over. It was like my head spun before I realized it was over. I mean, it was just like it was the easiest freaking 10 episodes of any TV show. I'm not even saying it was great. Like like one of the things about this show that I feel like on an identity level it kind of struggles with is that at certain points I do think this show is a little too cheesy, and I think season 2 is definitely kind of guilty of that. We'll get into it. So, Josh, what's your take on Cobra Kai, my friend?
Okay, thank you for throwing it to me. Cobra Kai, I was much like you in the sense that I did, first of all, YouTube Red, the bane of my existence, you know, back in the day. I was like, I can make better things. I should be on YouTube Red, damn it. So I was very opposed to watching anything that they were producing. And
that you made better content than like 99% of YouTube Red content.
Well, yeah, and anyone watching this, is probably a fan of Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the Real World, and that was the ultimate, the comments. If you scroll through any of the episodes, you'll see this should be on Netflix, this should be on YouTube Red. And so the YouTube Red was always like a strong comparison. I was like, well, yeah, I'd love to have a budget to do these things. That'd be great. So anyway, but that being said, finally seeing something that they did produce such as this, good God. I never saw it on YouTube. I was, late to the party, like so many, getting into the hype once it hit Netflix. But man, the thing that really hooked me is I'm a huge fan of How I Met Your Mother. Love that show. And this whole Cobra Kai is based on a joke in How I Met Your Mother, because Neil Patrick Harris's character, Barney Stinson, he, like, for his, I think it was his bachelor party, they got him, he wanted the Karate Kid. And they got him, Daniel LaRusso. They got Ralph Macchio. But he was like, no, Daniel LaRusso is not the Karate Kid. Ronnie is the Karate Kid from Cobra Kai. And he saw the whole movie in a twisted way. And that was just a joke in the show. And I never seen Karate Kid, but and then they even had Zapka in it. And it was a great, reveal of him in the episode. They brought him back in the final season as well. So that's really my only basis between that and Ralph Macchio's cameo in Entourage was like my knowledge of Karate Kid. So when I about it and the intrigue of How I Met Your Mother. That being said, oh my God, I was so into it, man. And my thesis statement, and I'll let Dragon jump on here because he's been silent as we're just so gushing about this show. I have kind of my thesis statement is that this blends everything together: comedy, drama, action, and especially, like you said, Tiki, cheese and heart. And the thing is, it's walking that line, which I am the ultimate fan of, to walk the line of multiple genres. And it makes this show, the bottom line is, it's a fun ride. It is a ride all over the place. And like you said, it's easy. It's so easy to digest, like a serialized show that's not an hour-long episodes. These are like half-hour tops. So goes by super quick. Super fun ride. We're going to get into the gray areas, which is what this show thrives in, letting you come up with your own, thoughts on these characters and, the good and the bad. It's just so great. So that's kind of my piece on it. And I very much, like you, digested it. I've seen season 1 twice in my first original watch of seasons 1 and 2, and then rewatching it again with someone else. And I have been fully caught up with some wonderful YouTube videos that the people from Cobra Kai so graciously put out to recap you on recently for this podcast.
Hashtag, who is the villain?
Who's the villain now?
Oh, God.
Exactly.
Dragon.
Anyway. So my issue with the Karate Kid franchise is I saw the first one way back. I very briefly as a kid, I took part in a karate class for a while, and they did like a little kind of theme night, and they kind of showed the movie.
Nice.
Oh, apropos. Anyway, so it was kind of my first exposure to it. Over the years, I've seen Ralph Macchio kind of pop up in a few things, just kind of regaling kind of the history of the Karate Kid. Basically, the fact of he'd be on Comic Book Man, he'd pop up a little. Oh, hey, look who it is! The original Jersey Kid in our kind of Kevin Smith themed show. Why don't we get him? In here? We got to talk about some merchandise. And of course, the fact Karate Kid like an animated show for a while, and I never really watched the whole series outside the first movie. So the first movie, the remake, and I've seen reviews of the not so good fourth installment with Hilary Swank. So so I'm a little familiar with the franchise.
Hilary Swank is this show's endgame, man.
They're going to legitimize it once they get. They are. They are. It's anyway. Anyway, so my thesis on kind of the shows, it turned out, I think I was like the final straw for you to get into the show.
Absolutely, you were, yeah.
Because I too was like, I'd seen the whole YouTube Red of all. Because this looks interesting, but YouTube Red, I'm not going to watch this now. It's like the deflated balloon. Then of course comes on Netflix. We can all join in the fun, and my thoughts on it are such. So this it's a remarkable anomaly that impressed us all. I feel, it's so narratively fascinating because the show has such character complexity. I think that's the key to what makes this show something special and something to behold and something truly addictive. Going from the whole half-hour runtime, again, it's like, you're right, Tiki, it is the fastest binge ever because, again, it's highly addictive.
I was shocked, Dragon. I was legitimately shocked. I was like, oh wow, that went by like that.
What's so genius about this is that it took this straightforward 80s archetypal film. Bullies, good guy, bad guy. Literally, it's as close to mustache twirly as we have. They're all like the black geese, very militaristic. I mean, it's this bad guy. It's as clear cut, seemingly, as it gets in that kind of that initial kind of framing of events. Again, so we've refocused the moral kind of gradations here. Is we've refocused the moral gray areas so well with this show. You go into this, I think we're all expecting kind of a nice little throwback piece. 34 years. I mean, by this comes out in 2018. So at that point, like 34 years later, it's like, oh, okay, look, they got them all back, and again, it's kind of a YouTube series that somehow got all the names and the rights by some miracle. Isn't this going to be like a quaint little reunion piece? But it's so much more than a reunion. It's just so. I love how it's so small scale, yet it's about these giant, awesome themes of redemption and balance and forgiveness. It's more than
Albuquerque verse-esque.
One could say, yes, very Albuquerque verse-esque. And then again, maybe that's why it's up my alley. I don't know. It's so much more. It's so much more than just the show about people kicking each other in the face. And you're going into it. It's like, oh, look at these guys from the movie. They kicked each other in the face. Isn't that funny? It's not that. It's honestly, at the end of the day, it celebrates what John Avildsen did so well with his kind of the epic, long-standing sports franchise, like your Karate Kids and your Rockies that he did. Which again, we're not just like, hey, sports movies. It was about the human struggle behind the scenes. It's very much in line with kind of what that director kind of put in with the elbow to these, into his work. And again, it's so serendipitous. It's like the year this comes on YouTube. Sorry, now getting all mixed up because the YouTube.
I'm sorry, that's my fault.
It's in good company on Netflix because the year this comes out, the year this comes to Netflix. Avatar's out. And again, very much people, again, I know Avatar's not a new show. It's not something that it's been kind of a well-guarded secret, but the fact is, again, the show about kind of the complexities of certain characters, and some characters aren't fully bad. Some characters go through transition and arc, the gray and everything. We kind of have that with Avatar. Then we have it like kind of exploded view with Cobra Kai. And it's, again, we're certain great. We have just great shows that are kind of being newly discovered, and now we're getting new ones on Netflix. A little slower on the Avatar thing, but that's a whole nother barrel to unpack there. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to talk about Cobra Kai again. We're late to the party.
That was Mama Thomas. Let me mute that little phone there. We're talking Cobra Kai, Mom. God damn it.
Oh, Josh, she's not proud of her boy today.
Oh God.
Yeah,
all right.
Proud of you.
Oh,
okay, sorry.
We need to bring that song back, man.
No,
dude,
okay, so
Alex Ponzio does something good, that's what I send him a meme of.
What, proud of your boy?
Yeah, and when I say meme, awesome. I mean a picture of a young Aladdin, like the little artwork, and me singing "Proud of Your Boy."
Oh my God, that's amazing! Oh, I love that.
We got to rewrite the biopic. We got to put that in there now. we got George Lucas listening. We got to Snyder cut this biopic.
Mostly concerning.
I know you're doing.
Anyway, sorry.
Okay, anyway, so folks, I'm going to set it up here for how we're going to break this down once more very briefly. Is that, again, we're going to kind of overview seasons 1 and 2 and kind of focus on the arcs for the most part. And again, folks, we're talking seasons 1 and 2, not going to touch 3 yet, just in case it was kind of lost and, and people's kind of jumping in now saying, hey, catching up on Cobra Kai. They watched it all. Like, no, folks, no, I just watched the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, no, I know it just came out today, but some people are already posting about it, and I'm just like, whoa, divert my eyes.
I hear you. Yeah.
So, yeah, I even had a friend who's like apparently an extra in like a big scene in it, and he's like, "Do you want to watch me?" And I was like, "No, get out of here."
Yeah, I can't wait to see Jenny Tran on the second part of Lucifer when that season comes up.
Oh, baby. Jenny Tran is killing it. She's been shooting a lot of different stuff lately.
And Space Force. I saw her on Space Force.
Yeah, she's killing it, man. Oh, and speaking, just another touch to bring us back to Cobra Kai and like the LA vibe of everything. This is another LA story, which I think is
absolutely.
It's the Valley, somewhere where Carmela lives, I'm sure. So that's where this was. That's exactly the area that I'm talking about, like the Valley of LA, and they really do. And even like Beverly Hills, basically where LaRussos live and everything. So I just wanted to add, before we came on air, we were talking about great LA stories. And this is just another one, even though it's the Valley.
Totally. Also, another thing I want to get in just for the one of the things that pretty much my big frame of reference for the Karate Kid franchise, outside of like the pop culture osmosis, is the one singular line in The Social Network. My brother and I are going to look like bullies in skeleton costumes chasing the Karate Kid around a gym. And just the imagery of the skeleton costumes, I love that. Once again, like pretty much everything else in the Karate Kid franchise in this show, we legitimize the hell out of it.
Well, this show, I mean, that's a great point. So to recap for everyone listening and for myself, I've never seen any of the Karate Kids. Tiki, you as well have never seen them.
I have seen the first one once or twice, and I believe it was like a dragon situation where it was at school or something.
It was like on TBS with the commercial.
Right. Something like I was like half invested in it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you've seen the first one. And I'm the only one who's just completely naked to everything the Karate Kid. So okay.
To be fair, I think the one that I spent the most attention to was the Jackie Chan remake, because I watched that one when I was doing like written reviews online. So there you go. I guess I watched that one with a critical eye.
Tiki's old GeoCities site.
Pro Boards, actually. Pro Boards. It was glorious.
Glorious in quotes, I'm sure.
So, what's so cool about this show, I guess, just to kind of get into an overarching conversation about the first season, one of the things that I am just in love with this show about, even though I've never seen the Karate Kid, is that the way they use that old footage, I don't need to have seen it. They use it like
perfect recap.
Yeah, recap and flashbacks. And that's what's so cool is every show that you watch, you wish that when they do the flashbacks, they always have to cast younger actors, right? And this is just so beautiful that it's real people. It's like Boyhood, but better.
Yeah, it's like Boyhood, but it has a point.
Yeah. Let me take Linkletter off speed dial here.
Sorry, Linky.
All right, 12 years down the tube, huh? So no, but how did you guys feel? Because I was so enamored with the teen scenes, the Karate Kid scenes, that whenever they flash back to it, I loved seeing it and being used as part of this story, and to see the original actors so young. I thought that was such a cool part of this.
Well, it's
interesting that you say that, because I like stylistically for me, I think it works really well to catch you up. At certain points, I almost kind of feel like I don't really need to see it. Like, I kind of get the point without them kind of flashing back. It's a little bit of like, I don't know, maybe the opposite of show don't tell. Like I want to linger on the actor's reaction in the moment more than flashing back to the past in some respects, but that's kind of nitpicking for me.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that moment up, Josh, because just the way we tee off into things here, the reintroduction, I feel there's a moment that encapsulates what the first season is and just kind of what the whole story is for our season. One, of course, we end up in the Old Valley again, which gives kind of a nice full circle effect. But my favorite thing is that this whole series, this whole season, season one is very much the theme of redemption and second chances through the eyes of Johnny Lawrence. That's season one in a nutshell. And that moment, right after the footage ends, we have like the one bit of new footage at the end of that archived, just kind of like in the resourcefulness of the archived edited footage. when Johnny Lawrence goes down and we show him hitting the mat, that shot encapsulates what this show is. It's about the lingering defeat. It's the aftermath. It's like, again, like we know how the story goes. That's where it ends, but you never think about what happens to Johnny Lawrence after he gets up outside of the whole trophy thing, which we're going to get into that. I mean, we know exactly that happens, but my point is, yeah, again, it's like getting back up after such a fall. And that really kind of gets me on the rewatch. Like, oh my God, that's so brilliant. The stills everything down to one bit. That's awesome.
I just want to emphasize my little nitpicks. It's mostly in regards to season 2. I think season 1, for the most part, handles it really, really well. And I think my nitpicks in regards to season 2 are mostly like kind of like how Lost. It's like, the flashbacks in Lost season 1, fantastic. Season 2, still really good, but maybe we're relying a little bit too heavily on them. That's kind of where I'm weighing down on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you where I wish I had seen the karate. I mean, there's parts that I loved way more than others. And I'm sure we'll get into that when we're talking season 2 specifically. But to keep, just on track with season 1, Dragon talking about that opening, all of the openings in this show are so good. Like the cold opens to that Cobra Kai on whatever, talking about the pilot where it's on Johnny Lawrence's back and we get that amazing camera tilt and like turn. That just set you up to be like, oh, okay, what's going? This is not what I thought was going down here. Let's watch. Let's see where this goes. Johnny Lawrence, and again, I'm going to reiterate because I was pitched on this show years ago by Neil Patrick Harris, and he sold the shit out of it. Like made me like it's a perfect analogy. Is the scene where Johnny Lawrence is explaining to Miguel about his version of things.
Yes.
That's basically Neil Patrick Harris's speech in How I Met Your Mother. Like,
that's the thing about that speech, Josh. They've taken like the old fan, like little, like kind of nitpicky, like after the fact, kind of like fan chatter of like, hey, what? Technically, that's an illegal kick. Therefore, maybe Johnny opens the door. Maybe Johnny's not the bad guy after all. And then people reanalyze the movie. We've made a whole show about what if we took that seriously.
Right, exactly. And it's also, I mean, this has just been such a have you I'm getting tongue-tied here because I'm so excited. Have you guys watched the Saved by the Bell reboot by chance?
No,
I have not.
Okay, well, I was I in that generation a little after actually, but just seeing Saved by the Bell on after school specials, so I was a big fan of it. I was a big fan of the web series Zach Morris's Trash, that kind of like spawned a lot new interest, and started a podcast in that regard. Anyway, I bring up that show as to say this and the Saved by the Bell reboot are two of the best examples of bringing back a franchise and not just rinse repeat, taking it in a whole new direction, for a whole new audience while paying service and homage to the fans of the original show. It's just, I feel like that is so difficult to do because we live in the age of everything being sequelized or reboot. And, to say that those are two of the best examples is really saying something. So, and I'm not saying that I would say that Cobra Kai is above the Saved by the Bell reboot, but I give that props for just going in a completely new direction from what the old show was, but still having like the vibe in, so to speak, of it.
Yeah.
It's anyway, Cobra Kai, but I mean Karate Kid, sorry, too many K's. Anyway, so a great spin in a new direction. How do you guys kind of want to break down this first season, the arcs?
Well, I mean, I think one of the let me tell you my favorite idea that very much bleeds in the whole, kind of Johnny Lawrence of it all, and kind of the big charm I think of the season, and kind of the sell of the show. Because you brought up, someone brought up Miguel already. So I love how we offer Johnny Lawrence a chance at redemption through his own Daniel LaRusso type in Miguel Diaz. I just love that it's like literally we introduce him literally the same way Daniel LaRusso meets Mr. Miyagi is like kind of the maintenance guy at the apartment. Like, oh yeah, this guy's he's a handyman. He can help out fix the water and everything. So it's a wonderful like little like Easter egg. Yeah.
I think I was disconnected for a hot second. You were saying about Johnny finds his own Daniel LaRusso moment with Miguel, and what's the Easter egg you were talking? Sorry.
Yeah, and the Easter egg in question is just the whole they're looking for maintenance guy to fix the water, very much like how Daniel Russo met Mr. Miyagi. So I just love that we're kind of teeing things up, kind of wonderful, like these little nods to the original movie. So basically, we're just setting up so much. Okay, literally, and I just love how just again. Johnny Lawrence isn't going to know any of this, but I love that we, the audience, can kind of say, "Oh, okay, we're literally filling in the archetype." He's completely oblivious to, because that just the Billy Zabka's performance of Johnny Lawrence is also just so well. We gave him so many layers compared to, again, kind of the two-dimensional '80s bully, which again adds to some of the great kind of like gray areas of the show, where you can show that Zabka's playing like this wonderfully dumb and out of touch guy, 80s character in a PC world of today, but you root for him with the second chance. You root for him because he's so close to getting the moral, but he's just not there until the end of the season. Like, he gets there, but it takes him the whole season to get there,
Of course. No, I mean, and that's just emphasizes my point so beautifully of what you said. Like, I had no idea about that maintenance man reference, and it's awesome that I was so thrilled and into the show, and there's those things being thrown for the hardcore fans. The only one that like I got a kick out of, just because it's an iconic line, is the "Hey Sensei, anywhere you want me to wash these windows?" Nah, I don't give a shit. Like, and I'm certain, and you're proving that just with that one example, Dragon, that there's so many of those sprinkled throughout the entire show, especially in the first season.
I've heard that there's a lot of stuff that they actually mined from the sequels, believe it or not.
They did. They actually took. I had a misnomer where we took a scene that I completely forgot. I thought the first movie ended with this scene, but apparently it tops off the second movie. The big almost killing Johnny Lawrence. Sensei Kreese almost killing him. That's how the second one starts. Because the second Karate Kid starts literally as they're walking to the parking lot after the first movie. So that's where that scene is.
But yeah, and this is kind of irrelevant, but are you aware, is Johnny Lawrence he's just mostly in the first one, and I guess that opening, right? He's of the second one. He's not in the rest of the series, really, is he?
Yeah, it's just that one scene. He was like clips of him, like, "Hey, what has Daniel LaRusso done in the other movies?" Well, he kicks that guy in the face, and that's pretty much all he uses. It's just like the face kick, and then we have that one scene that we get. Pretty much all the Johnny Lawrence stuff is in the show archivally. It's pretty much all the important stuff you need to know.
I mean, perfect. And and I know that they're going to, spoiler of 3, I've seen that they're going to take from, I think, some it's going to be following whatever sequel takes Daniel to Japan or Okinawa.
Yeah, it's the second one.
Yeah, okay. So that, and I've heard of that's where this is going to be taken. What's really great about just talking about, again, them bringing this back in a whole new way, and them being able to pull it off. I was listening to Ralph Macchio on a podcast, and it was specifically the Entourage podcast, Victory, and they had him on Entourage, and he gets in a fight with one, talking about how he refused on set to do the crane. Like, they wanted him to do the crane, and he was like, no. And even just to play himself and referencing Karate Kid, that was the first time he had done that, because he was almost like protecting the integrity of the movies, because he was like, he was asked left and right everywhere to do Karate Kid stuff, do this Daniel LaRusso stuff. And he never did, except for one Funny or Die parody that came out shortly before Cobra Kai, which was like he had creative control on, and it was his thing. So I just respect the hell out of him for holding on to that for 30 years, because if he was willy-nilly, like, doing the crane pose on commercials and everywhere, there would be no interest in seeing this reprisal, seeing this development of those characters, or I at least feel there wouldn't be as heavy interest in it. And I respect the hell out of him protecting the integrity of the show.
Yeah, definitely.
Didn't you bring that up? The whole the integrity of it all, because that was a big sell for him. Like, especially when them broaching how to tackle the Mr. Miyagi of it all. Because obviously it's been 30 years. I mean, any way of slicing in the franchise, they found a way to kind of just say time just kind of took its course, and we no longer have him around. So that was another thing to sell him on the show. Like, because again, it could very easily be sold like, hey, here's a little parody thing, but no, they came at Zabka and Macchio is correct. They came at him saying, okay, guys, look. this is the show we want to tell. It's about the gray areas, kind of the redemption story of one, and we're going to kind of flip-flop things where LaRusso's kind of the, all that sort of stuff. And again, just kind of showing that obviously he's going to have kind of a sobering moment where he's going to, kind of come around later on in the season. So I'm sure that's the thing. The show is all about, in the Dan LaRusso side of things, we legitimize the on-the-nose references, which I thought was such a smart call, because again, otherwise they do fall into the whole parody, cheesy thing of like, okay, that's.
It could just really, really easily be member berries, and honestly, some of it is, but
Like after
again,
LaRusso's
it's
humble,
legitimizing the member berries.
the whole half of the first season really is the humblement of Daniel LaRusso. Because let's shift a little bit to
I'm sorry to pause you, Dragon. What's a member berry?
Oh god!
I mean, you used it like 4 times, and I was like,
had to drop the member berry thing.
I was gonna let it go, but as you kept using it, I'm like, okay, well, if this is just a casual, I don't want the whole conversation talking about member berries, and I'm just lost over here.
We have to explain. Stupid member berries thing. Go on, Tiki. Tell me what the member berries.
Okay, very quickly, Josh. South Park, they had this gag where the member berries were this sentient bunch of grapes, essentially, that would talk about Star Wars and stuff like that, in the sense of like, oh, remember Palpatine, remember Darth Vader, remember AT-ATs. And basically, Josh, it was a parody of like kind of like fan service for the sake of fan service.
Oh,
just
okay.
Like, oh, remember this?
Like the whole show was, hey, remember when? Yeah, hey, yeah, exactly. I get what. Okay.
Yeah,
This is a real thing that came out.
It was on South Park.
Oh, okay, great. Oh, well, there we go. That's a good. That's a. Thank you for filling me in. We're all up to date on member berry. Dragon, please continue.
God. Oh jeez. But yeah, like for example, like when we humble LaRusso through the season, at a certain point when he kind of he visits Miyagi's grave, and after that point when he kind of clears out the dojo and everything, he puts on the headband. That's a big visual moment there of like, oh god, he's we're redeeming, we're kind of earning these symbols of basically we're earning him getting in the gi by the point we get the season 2. But just the shift to LaRusso a little bit here overall.
I want to talk LaRusso because we could talk blue in the face about Johnny, and Johnny's arc is freaking awesome, and I love how unapologetically PC Johnny is. But I gotta say, man, Daniel, I feel like Daniel in this show. What?
I think you were meaning to say PI, politically incorrect. That
or non-PC.
Yeah, non-PC. Johnny is. You were saying, but yeah.
Okay, now I'm just picturing like a parody of Johnny Lawrence, who's just like hardcore PC.
He kind of gets there by the second season, but not really. Not that fast.
So sorry to interrupt you there, Tiki. Keep going.
Okay, I just think that Daniel LaRusso, I want to say he's a little underappreciated just because all the hype is around Johnny Lawrence, but I love what they've done with LaRusso, man. I love kind of like the literally turning him into the used car salesman, but at the same time, he's got a heart. He's still trying to follow the words of Miyagi. He's trying to be a good mentor to the kids. There's just a lot of layers to LaRusso that I really appreciate. And also, I just want to acknowledge that this guy, the actor Ralph Macchio, he really just reminds me of a YouTuber. I'm not even going to drop his name, but it's just distracting when I watch him.
I think we're thinking of the same YouTuber. I hope so.
No, we're not. No, we're not. I guarantee you we're not.
All right, we're not then.
But you know what I'm... It's distracting when I see it, though, because I'm just like, not only does he's got like the same look, the same cadence, and also the YouTuber I'm thinking of is kind of has like the sleazy used car salesman vibe going on.
You're definitely not the guy I'm thinking of, yeah.
So it's like
you don't want to just say who this is?
That's David O'Neill of Extinct Attractions Club.
Yeah, that wasn't my guy at all.
Hey, this is the way I feel. It's like if this gets big enough so that guy hears it, that's a good thing, man. So there you go. What's it called?
Oh, I'm actually working on a video about this guy. He's got kind of an interesting history.
But what's so interesting with Ralph Macchio being involved? When I first saw him in the pilot, and they set up his character to, you know, they kind of established like, oh, we're flipping the roles in this show, right? I didn't, you know, look up anything, know anything about where the show was going. So on the cold first watch, I was kind of assuming that he would just be in the pilot to set things in motion and be done with him. I was so pleasantly like pleased when like it develops this whole other arc. And obviously I would, you know, now in hindsight, it all makes sense that Ralph Macchio wouldn't sign on to just do that and tarnish his role if they didn't have a huge arc for him as well. So, I just thought it was really cool to present both of them at first as, no, we're flipping them. And then they start revealing this gray area, these onion layers, you know, through to all of them. It's, oh man, it's, I can't wait to get into it. Miguel, let's talk about Miguel.
All right.
Boy, man.
I kind of wanted to, can I get a little thing about LaRusso there before we go back to Miguel?
Fuck LaRusso. No, sure. Let's go ahead.
That's the thing. I love that LaRusso's suffering from the sin of pride this season, where he's got success, and in doing so, LaRusso's kind of become what he kind of hated in the Karate Kid franchise. He's even just going back to the first movies, like he's become kind of an elitist, you know, quote unquote bully, at least in Johnny's eyes. Of course, we know there's layers. He's not a bad guy because, you know, he's trying to do right by Miyagi's a nice guy. We like good old Ralph Macchio, but it's still though, through the eyes of this character, which I mean, I know Josh is all about this sort of thing. He's given with the Harley Quinn and Joker role, with the whole like we all kind of they're putting kind of our bad guy character in the lead role in a sense.
Yeah, 1000%.
And I love that, you know, he's kind of made a business out of the quote unquote illegal kick. And it's a symbol that Johnny can't escape his past failures. So like literally we've just had this perfect symbol for a man who can't escape his past, where really if he moved on it wouldn't bother him, but he just, how can he when it's just shoved in his face, and his enemy is he just kind of built a business on it. And that's the thing I love that we're saying, you know, LaRusso says that he's moved on when he shows up. He says, hey, that's in the past, where he just says with kind of that car salesman kind of smile on his face to an extent, where it's like, I'm enjoying this, but I'm not gonna like really dig my heels in, but he still is digging his heels in a little bit. It's the fact that he says that he's moved on, yet as the story progresses, like in the next episode, he can't when Cobra Kai returns, when the symbol of his trauma returns. So now he's gotten kind of a taste of his own medicine in that regard. And I just love that.
What song was playing when he drives up to Cobra Kai? And just to add to that, the music in the show is amazing.
It is.
But that opening sequence of episode 2, where he's in his car driving and he's having a great day.
Ain't that a kick in the head? Which is I love that song, and I love that choice for him.
So freaking good, man. Ain't that a kick in the head? Oh, that was a great.
I love Dean Martin's. That was just a great.
Here's one thing I'll say about Daniel LaRusso that I did not like. That guy needs to beat his son.
I know, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted that kid spanked so bad.
I got a funny story to tell you about the kid.
To a certain extent, I feel like they kind of Jar Jar Binks the son out of season 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He pops up at the end. I was at camp, in case you were wondering. We weren't. We thought they wrote you off and we didn't care.
I'll tell you what happened. I got a theory about what happened there. Okay, so so we used LaRusso's family in the first season to contrast Johnny Lawrence's thinking, the whole like his new philosophy of Cobra Kai, where basically he's taking kind of the aesthetic of Cobra Kai, but going a little less militaristic, psychotic with it, where he's taking what it did for him personally, and we're taking kind of the non-PC approach. And we're kind of measuring it against LaRusso's family, where, again, I mean, he's kind of made his family a little too soft and cushy, especially his son, who's just this lazy little prick that you want to just kind of backhand sometimes, but you can't. Because, again, he's a good dad. He's not going to do that. But I love that his daughter's on the precipice of becoming a modern mean girl kind of bully in the valley to her friend Aisha. So kind of, again, she's on the precipice of becoming a bully, which is LaRusso's worst nightmare. His son is spoiled as all get out. And I just love that and so ultimately what happens is with the whole Robbie Keane of it all, they kind of realized, and I think this is what they're doing in the rewatch especially, is that I think Robbie Keane is intended to be the son that LaRusso wants.
I thought that Keane was like a long-lost Lawrence brother.
Yeah, I know. Josh, you hit it right. That's the thing, though. So the most fascinating thing about Robbie Keane in relation to Dan LaRusso is that he's the son that LaRusso wants, because again, he's interested in the karate and everything, but also
in really quick. My favorite scene in all of season 1 is that bonding montage.
Yeah.
That bonding, it's so fucking priceless. Just like
Robbie
LaRusso.
and LaRusso?
Between Robbie and LaRusso, where LaRusso is like showing him the ropes of the used car dealership.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, it's just the way it's cut together. It's so perfect.
And I don't think you got. Did you get my joke, Dragon? I was saying a Lawrence brother, like Joey Lawrence, Matthew Lawrence, from the '90s, Lawrence brothers, Blossom.
Yeah.
Okay. But it clicked in my head that his name is Johnny Lawrence, and his name.
I know. I thought that's where you were getting at. Yeah, it was also kind of a dual. Like, yeah.
I was like, oh, whoa, too much. Oh, but yeah. Anyway, sorry. Keep going.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, Josh, you hit it right on the head. Is that as well? It's like a what if. It's like this really interesting what if. Like, what if LaRusso befriended Johnny Lawrence? Like, what if he was via Robbie Keane? That's the fun switcheroo we do in this show, where again, Danny LaRusso doesn't trust in like Miguel Diaz, who is exactly him. Essentially, he's the archetype of himself. Yet he's bonding with the opposite that he just can't get through with the modern day Johnny Lawrence. But he's going with this. He's befriending his son. It's just that's what I'm saying. It's such a fascinating little switcheroo there, and it all clicks together. It's all clicks together so well, but
all right, before we go any further, boys, I gotta ask you a question. You gotta make your stand right now, and maybe it'll unfold the reasoning as we go on in this conversation. Are you Miyagi-Do or Cobra Kai?
Cobra Kai.
God, I'm proud.
I
would pick Cobra Kai, but also
go ahead and think about it, Dragon. Here's my answer: Cobra Kai.
The only reason I'm saying, like, morally, probably Miyagi-Do, but Cobra Kai is badass, and more importantly, I think Cobra Kai has the better characters.
At the end of the day, you know why Miyagi-Do? Miyagi-Do because of the inalienable stance of Miyagi-Do. One of the great runners in the show is, I'm not going to strike first. Like, yeah, that's me. I'm not going to strike.
That is a good runner. That is a good runner.
All right, well, there we go. We got 2 Cobra Kais and we got a Miyagi-Do. It's going to be a good conversation. Keep it going. Let's keep it going. Anything else about LaRusso? Because I'm dying to talk about Miguel.
Okay. One last thing. We'll jump right into Miguel. Okay, so this brings us to Cobra Kai. This is perfect. Okay, so I love that within this on the rewatch especially. I love it in the conversation they have at LaRusso Auto, which again the whole symbolism of the car is brilliant. But we'll touch on that as we go on. For I know this boy's jumping at the bit to talk about good old Diaz here. But I love that we have the impetus in the conversation where Dan Russo's kind of shoves it off like, oh yeah, it's good that Cobra Kai's gone, which kind of gives Johnny Lawrence the light bulb that he's kind of out to prove, because again he has his car fixed and everything, therefore his story is technically over, but it's sticking with him. Like, he wants to prove that Cobra Kai wasn't all bad, and that's essentially his impetus for the entire series. He's going to prove that Cobra Kai doesn't have to be a mustache twirly 80s bully. He wants to prove that it did something positive, and basically Johnny has to look with
my brother and I running around a gym in skeleton costumes trying to beat up the Karate Kid.
Yeah, it's going to challenge Johnny to look within himself instead of blaming Cobra Kai for all his problems, because that kind of hurts the show essentially. If he just says if he just kowtows to what he says, oh yeah, Cobra Kai was all bad, and there's no story there, but him saying that hey, it wasn't all bad. Just the complexity right there is what gives us all the great kind of gray areas within the show. It's kind of sets the flag for him. It's like I'm gonna build up Cobra Kai. I'm gonna prove that I'm not a lost cause.
Yeah.
That brings Cobra Kai and
weird stable internet. But I missed a little bit of what you were saying in there. But can you give me a summation of what you were saying about LaRusso there?
I like in their conversation, LaRusso basically challenges him in a sense that, hey, Cobra Kai was all bad, and Johnny's whole impetus is like, hey, no, it wasn't all bad. Which basically he has to look within himself to prove he can't just blame Cobra Kai for all his problems.
Okay. Yes, exactly. That's so true. And that's the kind of like it's so. I guess especially I don't know about you gentlemen, so I'm just going to talk personally here, but what these characters do by holding on to what is almost the most important moments of their lives that defined them, you know, the more life goes on, especially the reflection that this 2020 year has given us, 2021 now, what up? But it's just that there are those moments in life. There's those time periods, you know, in your youth, especially,
Yeah.
coming out of like that late teens, early 20s is like some of the most definable things. And sometimes you hold on to that shit that you're thinking about for, you know, for years. And you're like, why? It's because that was shaping you without you even realizing it. And that, you know, obviously did shape you. And I just relate to that so much in what you're, you know, that this show tackles to overcome the demons, overcome these moments in your life that defined you, or so to speak, you thought defined you, and you can change it apparently.
Yeah.
So, sorry about that. I just realized I don't have an audio avatar. How faux pas. So,
We shouldn't even have to worry about that, Tiki.
no. I want it. It's fine. I want my thing to vibrate when I'm talking. No.
Well, so much for following the bounce symbol. Let's just press on.
Okay, great.
But so yeah, Miguel Diaz, as I mentioned again, I love him being the LaRusso archetype, and again, just kind of adds this thing where we already root for this kid, this poor kid. You know, again, he's getting bullied as all get like they're pouring like, you know, he's bringing Pepto Bismol to his ailing. Like again, I love the theme of strong mothers in this show, very much akin to the whole Lorraine. Wait, is it Lorraine? I keep saying it's not Lorraine. Lucille LaRusso. To Daniel's mom, again, having like the strong single mothers, and well, even just the strong mother types, because, you know, again, Amanda LaRusso, she speaks sense and kind of gets through his thick skull, especially in season 2. And then on the flip side, we have Miguel's mom, who is you know, is Carmen, who's great.
Oh yeah, but you know, speaking of like those strong characters, I don't think that grandma needed Pepto Bismol. That grandma was in great shape, like super, like just I don't know. She didn't seem like she was any sort of sickly in any way. So, as it went on, let me see here. Okay, so we're ready to just dive in on Miguel. I can talk about my boy Diaz.
Go nuts, kiddo. Go on.
Okay, great. So Miguel Diaz, what I love so much about this character is that you just root for this guy. There was something, I mean, he is a great actor because like he's not just you can tell what he's playing, that archetypal protagonist. You know, like, oh, he's great, you know, he loves his family, like you have to root for him. But that can easily get, you know, oh, you know, fuck this guy. I don't like how good he is or anything like that. And he just showed such a pure, like his motives were always so relatable. Like whether it's just I don't want to get bullied anymore. That sucks. Or I do like this girl. I mean, my teacher's crazy, but I believe him that he used to get girls. He sounds like, you know, like everything was so logical in his motivations, in his arcs, even when he gets into, you know, becoming the pseudo gray area / bad guy, you know, when he hits Robbie or whatever and wins, the Dark Miguel or whatever you want to call it. That's racist. Don't call him Dark Miguel.
Oh God.
But no, I thought I was just, man, I could not have been more into that character. I kind of hated when he became, you know, like me and Erase Away, all whiny and bitchy about his girlfriend in the second season. But like for the first season, I could not have been more on board with this character.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into season 2, Miguel, because it's definitely a different beast for sure. But no, season 1, Miguel, I'm with you. He's just very much the kind of like the classic Ralph Macchio stand-in, where you know, he's just a very, very good-hearted kid trying to do right by his single mother and his family, and I just like that he kind of that him and Johnny Lawrence just kind of like they just kind of like support each other. You know what I mean? Like they're the people that it's not just like, I feel like with Miyagi, it's like Miyagi's already kind of like achieved everything he ever wants. You know what I mean? Like there's no real goal for Miyagi. Whereas you know, with Miguel and Johnny, it's like Johnny has as much to learn from Miguel as Miguel has to learn from Johnny. So it makes that relationship just all the more compelling because
oh yeah, that's a great point.
I think one of the strongest components of the show is the whole fathers and sons angle, where I love learning about Johnny Lawrence's past, which, like we learned, one, of course, well, I can't believe we barely lead here. We have a very fantastic guest star in the first season. We have the wonderful Ed Asner as his stepdad, Sid. We learned, where Johnny Lawrence kind of got the
money.
money.
Oh my god, it's like the most sinister Ed Asner role ever.
It's been a while since we've gotten a sinister Ed Asner.
It has, man.
Do you know if he played the stepfather in the original?
Or no, he was never in the.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. We never saw what his home life was like, but this show gives us
a peek as great casting. We could get Ed Asner? No.
And we did when do the flashback, we kind of got a sound alike for Ed Asner. But again, that's what I'm saying. It's the whole effect of just seeing that, he had no love, just the checkbook. That was kind of his father figure within the Ed Asner, within the Sid relationship, which kind of led to which I love that, again, him giving that check at the first episode literally is the foundation, the financial foundation of Cobra Kai's return capital, and it ends up being kind of this nice triumphant loan from Johnny paying him back, saying, all I needed was your love, and your support, you never gave that to me. And basically, I love that there was such a high point. That's what I'm saying. This is a wonderful pattern in these two seasons where Johnny reaches, we reach such a high point where, Johnny's he sobers up, he's healing from the past. He got these really great words of wisdom from Carmen, saying you can't let the mistakes of the past determine your future, which is basically him okay, I'm gonna move forward here. And he's kind of become that father figure to Miguel in a sense, and ultimately what we do, just to reach back a little bit with the whole Robbie Keane of it all, is that Robbie Keane is Johnny Lawrence creating a bully when he didn't intend to, because of his failing, because he couldn't get out of the past, because he was still wallowing in kind of the self-pity of kind of this one failure, this one event, and again, kind of being lost out of Cobra Kai being kind of the closest thing he had to a father, with the whole sensei crease of it all, which is twisted. Yeah. These senseis really are the fathers in this show, and turns Robbie into a con man who doesn't believe in a father who gave up on himself. He doesn't believe in the father who gave up on himself, and because of that, Johnny basically, he kind of views his son as a lost cause, because he initially viewed himself that way, and there's no way of repairing that relationship. And we have a really big kind of telltale choice. Season 2 is all about the telltale choice, but when we get to the end. But I love we have this big telltale choice in the first season, almost like the Telltale games, Joshi, where he chooses Miguel over Robbie. When we have this big heartfelt apology after the whole skeleton bathroom beating that Tiki keeps going to remind us of. We're going to dress as skeletons, and anyways, he gets the crap beaten out of him as a skeleton. And he's given this impassioned plea to he'll be better essentially mentor figure, and then we reveal, oh God, he went to Miguel, and then ultimately he passes on McGee, which Robbie sees, and it's kind of heartbreaking. But again, I love the bond forging between him and this surrogate son.
Exactly, because Miguel's awesome. Robbie sucks.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Comparatively.
Again, Robbie gets less sucky. That's the point, though.
Yeah, he kind of does. He kind of becomes like what I was saying Miguel would have sucked as, when he starts to take on the traits that Miguel has from Jump, where he's supposed to be the sympathetic character, it just kind of, granted, we're so far into the story, so that's not as fair of a comparison, but anyway, we'll get there season 2.
One other thing with Miguel, was just to broach into the students of Cobra Kai. So all of the Cobra Kai is, again, we're trying to deflate we're taking the impossible standards of Cobra Kai, again, with the militarism of karate. But what was there, and what Johnny's clinging to here, is that there was a community, there was friendship, and there was becoming part of a bigger idea. Kind of a crazy idea, but a bigger idea nonetheless. And it kind of brought kids out of their shell and turned, but unfortunately, in most cases, especially by season 2, turned them into power junkies. And I think the ultimate power junkie story would be good old Eli turned Hawk.
Yeah.
Just straight up, I think Hawk is probably the best character on the show.
I think he's a great character. I think my favorite transformation is Aisha, though, because when she is first introduced, I was like, I felt so bad for her, and then when she gets Cobra Kai, I was like, oh God, no. And he becomes so badass, so cool. Like I was so like I'm like, why am I proud of this girl? It's not my daughter. Like, what,
No. I hear you. Aisha's great. Aisha's great, but I love how Hawk. It's like we go from like one of the more pathetic characters who, like, when we're first introduced to this guy, we don't know if he's just going to be like a one-off, like, oh, he's one of the ones that couldn't take it. You know what I mean? It's like we have no idea that he's going to have this big of a role, and then by season 2, he's pretty much one of the primary. Like, it's Kreese is the adult antagonist and him is the kid antagonist for the most part.
I love that they get to that. They build the so hard. I think it's season 2 where it's like down to the finals, and it's like Hawk, Miguel, and Aisha are all. I was like, yeah, they all should be there.
Yeah, I remember Hawk struck the really dishonorable blow. He's the one who kind of injured Robbie Keane there, and then Miguel took advantage of that. But still, it's I love that. I love Miguel and Hawk in contrast to each other because they are very much the model of Cobra Kai, and later on they kind of adopt a specific sensei from Cobra Kai once we get in the second season, where, again, the impact of Cobra Kai positively on Miguel, that's Johnny Lawrence's like best dreams come true for the most part there. It's like it's a guy trying to achieve balance, much like Johnny Lawrence ultimately is when we get to season 2. And Hawk, however, he's been corrupted by power, and ipso facto, he's become a bully. Again, you understand, I love, though, we understand exactly how this was forged. We saw the failings of the school system in like that opening of that episode. Remember the whole like my son's being bullied, and gives like the very like the really, we saw how poorly handled that was.
I mean, though, one of my favorite lines of the whole show, aside from the waxing the windows, I don't give a shit, is what if he doesn't want to be called Lip? He should have a weird lip.
Oh God. All right.
As soon as that line came out of the show, I was like, I'm watching the rest of the show. Great comedy.
Hey, should we
Great
talk
comedy.
about... No, I'm sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, like, I mean, we mentioned it, but to bring it up again, the show has so many different genres it's hitting on. I would say at the root of it, it's a comedy, dramedy, right? But the comedy in it is so like it does have some cheese moments, but it has some
karate soap opera. There
we go.
That's how I would genre define it.
The only way you're going to get me to watch a soap opera, you make it like this. Just should we go back to? I'm sorry, go on, Tiki.
No, go ahead.
All right. So I just talk about Johnny's progress here. So of course, we had a really great season 1 moment for Johnny, where he has his big, his big genuine speech at the appeals board. Just where he's really kind of going to bat for like Cobra Kai should be allowed in the All Valley tournament. I love how the stakes are so mundane, where it's like everyone but Dan LaRusso on that board is like, oh wait, we banned somebody? Well, I mean, I still need them, man. Like how's that? Like if they're talking about like the color of the mats and the floor mats and everything, they don't really care. But again, Dan LaRusso, kind of the local celebrity of the All Valley Karate, he's just building up a case, and I love that. Again, that is a big humbling moment for LaRusso there, where he's very much kind of the bully in that situation. He's kind of dressing him down, not listening to all the real genuine things that Johnny's saying here. Johnny keeps his cool. He's just kind of being straightforward. And LaRusso, he's done. I completely forgot about this until the rewatch. His wife wonderfully calls him out on this bit where LaRusso took it too far, where he's doing these petty moves, making these petty moves against Cobra Kai. And I think the biggest move was the whole rent move, where he got the whole strip mall, their rent moved up. And his wife points out, well, what about the other people at the strip mall? Those guys, now they're going to have a lot of difficulty. Like, oh my God, yeah. I forgot.
Pawn shop guy's an asshole. But man, you speak of that whole getting Cobra Kai unbanned from the All Valley State competition. The ending of that, I mean, that whole thing where, Johnny has a speech, the monologue, he gets it unbanned, but the ending of him and Miguel bonding, he succeeded with that. Miguel, I think, got a number. Is that where he gets her number?
No, he gets the kiss. He has the successful date.
But yeah, and then they get to celebrate, and Johnny actually gives him a beer. I was like, yes! Like, I don't care if he's giving a minor alcohol. I was glad that they went there because it's realistic. Like, it was so perfect the way that show ended and cemented that fatherly bond you keep talking about, Dragon. Like, it really showed that. I mean, you could tell, oh man, this is such a high point, it's going down. Like,
right
And again, this is also with the progress. Eventually, after kind of the two going to go into head to head, and kind of like in kind of the civil, kind of a civil kind of audience. I love how I got to backtrack. This is a big thing for the whole series. I love the car symbolism. The car symbolism is one of the most genius things it did in the series, where it's the ultimate binding symbol of the series and the arcs of our two characters here. Where it's the adult version of the bikes from the Karate Kid thing. One had like the red motorbike, and Russo is like an average bike. They got tossed down a hill that we kind of call back to, and we've kind of upped again. They've grown up, therefore we've given them kind of cars. One a whole car empire, and the other one just kind of like the '80s car, very '80s centric. It's Daniel LaRusso's namesake. And basically, ultimately, the thing with Miguel and how this ties into it as well is that I love the arc of Johnny when he meets Miguel and he fights off all the kids, very much how he had Mr. Miyagi kind of beats Johnny Lawrence and the other bullies up to save LaRusso's hide. Almost Batman Beyond style, if anyone gets that reference. I love how it's all about Johnny saving the kid, where initially it's about him acting. He has to act out of his own self-interest because he's basically gets into it because they fight him on his car. Like, hey, get off of my car. Then he saves the kid. But ultimately to the point where he's just going to be fighting for the kid, not just the car and the kid.
Oh, and speaking of that wonderful scene, I just want to point out how disgusting that pizza slice was. And the guy holding it for I was like, I know this is a bit, but like it's genuinely disgusting.
And he wouldn't give him the plate too, just insulting him.
So that set up, I'm gonna beat up some kids.
Yep, and again, I love that literally like Destinies collide, where LaRusso's daughter slams into the car, and I just love the domino effect of season one, where like we bring it up later. Oh yeah, well she smashed into my car, and that brings him into the dealership and the whole 9 yards, to the point where later on, once the car is destroyed through all these dominoes falling over, like Louis and all those stupid shenanigans, they're bonding over the new car. Again, like they're moving from the past, the totem of the '80s. To like, hey, here's a brand new car. Again, maybe the healing journey could begin. They're bonding over not having fathers and kind of having the good moms and kind of going to the apartment from the Karate Kid, doing all that sort of stuff. But then, unfortunately, history repeats itself on all fronts. After Miguel and Sam have that cute little putt-putt date and everything, very much how Karate Kid.
It was an adorable date.
I know, I love the octopus thing, man. It's almost like the prize scene in Deadpool. I loved it.
Yeah, I like the little what's it called? Just like the little video he had of them, or maybe she had of them with the octopuses and stuff. I think it's in season 2, of course, but I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Side note, Kelsey Brabilski's engaged. She just posted on Instagram today.
Hey! She's popping up all over the place.
She posted, speaking of like that wonderful octopus video, like the way she announced it was she shared the video her fiance made for her. And then at the end of it, it says, take off your headphones and turn around. And then it cuts to the actual proposal of her at the Grand Canyon, like taking off headphones, turning around. He's on a knee. I almost bawled. Like, I was
that's like a John Krasinski proposal.
Exactly. I mean, no, it was a Jim proposal. Like, oh God. Not John, baby. Jim. Halpert.
I'm not saying Krasinski's marrying people, though. I'm just saying that. But okay.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Right. No, it was so beautiful, though. Anyways, getting off track, but just to go into the feels, can we talk about some of the, this show's all about gray areas, right?
Yeah.
So maybe some like, there are a couple more moments I just want to get into because we haven't even started on season 2 yet. And that's a whole other can of worms that Tiki just digested today. But let's see here. The fight in the cafeteria viral video that Miguel does. Like, holy cow, that was so cool.
Great fight. I love when he's doing like the parkour when he grabs the tray. When he like does all like kind of
that could have been so easily a ball dropped to make the fighting just, it would be there. But if I would imagine the fighting is nowhere near as cool in Karate Kid as it is in Cobra Kai.
Yeah, pretty much. In those fights, are Daniel LaRusso gets beat up until determined, and Mr. Miyagi helps out once. It's pretty much how that fight goes.
Yeah. I guess I just mean like I don't know, like the music, the fight, the sequences that they do, between the cafeteria, the mall fight, the, in the woods fight, the very ending at school fight, all those, like, I mean, those are action-packed sequences, especially the final one with that oneer. I mean, they're just, I was blown away at the action in this show. I thought it had no right to be as good as it did.
Absolutely. Well, we should probably, before we jump into season, there's one more important thing we should talk about. Then we should probably just jump into it.
Love triangle.
Oh, I know. Wait, Dragon. I know. I don't want to steal your thunder, but I already know what you're gonna say. Stingray, baby. Let's talk that sweet Stingray.
Stingray season 2.
Yeah, Stingray's in season 2. But...
Oh, wait. I thought he's in Home Depot in season 1. No.
No, season 2.
Damn it. Okay, my bad.
Okay, but Tiki's bring up the love triangle, but yeah, basically Robbie is kind of our key to our low of lows for both stories in a sense. There, where again, I know Miguel was in the wrong or he overreacted, but again, here's my favorite. Okay, so the biggest thing I got to tell you, this is going to bleed into both seasons. Okay, so boiled down fundamentally, Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do, once we especially get Miyagi-Do, against the karate styles are action and reaction. Again, Cobra Kai is all about striking first, being the action, Miyagi-Do being the reaction. And you'll notice there's a runner throughout the entire series. When we reverse these actions on these characters, when they strike first and when they act instead of react on the opposing kind of sides that we've cultivated here, bad stuff happens. So it's again like once we get into it really later on, especially, but again, we're also kind of showing on the Cobra Kai side. Again, maybe the striking first sometimes there is a consequence, and we're going to blow that into exploded view in the next season once we switch sides. And then, like, when LaRusso strikes first, a lot of misunderstandings happen, a lot of bad stuff happens.
Do you feel like there are any, I guess, what are any of the negatives before we get to season 2, or anything that you kind of didn't like too much in season 1, aside from his stupid ass kid?
That's what I'm saying. I really hate his son, but outside, I think that's kind of on the rewatch. I think that's kind of intentional, given the Robbie Keane of it. Also, I don't really think I can call it a negative.
Even the wife grew on me. I didn't really care for her too much in the beginning, but I think she really grows on me in season 2. But yeah, I thought season 1 like had very few downsides, very few flaws in it, especially like, just digesting that. I know that was a little further, and but I had a lot more gripes in season 2 than season 1, if I can be honest about that. So we'll see.
I concur. I think, the worst thing I could really say about the series as a whole is, again, Mopey Miguel is like, it's not, here's the thing, it's like young love, I get it. I've seen it done a lot worse a lot of other places. I can speak to many seasons of Riverdale where it gets old a lot. But,
right.
It's, at least it's, again, given the whole 10-episode runtime, it's like, we introduce a new character off, before we were like lingering in for the entirety of the season. So I think,
I guess maybe this will be a good bridge into season 2. But like, I love Johnny so much, and I love his character, and I get that he has to change and evolve. But the more he did so in season 2, especially, I was like, oh, I don't want to see. They kind of like stacked him too hard at times with John Kreese coming in and making him have to be like the uber good guy for.
Josh, I think your internet.
Yeah, I think
I really like.
Oh boy.
I'm so sorry about that, guys. It's been
you come back in like right when I'm like, okay, I think I should say something, and he's back. It's like it's really bad. I mean,
as you'll see in an upcoming Just Giggle It video, dramatic effect. Slight tease, baby, tease. Okay, so sorry about that. Anyway, I was just saying, I get that he has to involve Johnny Lawrence, but I didn't like him once he became more of the protagonist, like more of the real good guy. I loved his, non-PC. Like, I was just like so into his character. The more he evolved, the less I liked him. Same for Miguel.
Interesting. I did not have that, but let me talk about something that we'll completely spring, because literally it's a two-parter. The way we kind of end the seasons, this is literally springboard into season 2. Let me make the point here. So, I think the thing that really impresses me most in the rewatch, kind of thematically and with her story and everything, is the no mercy lesson at the tournament. Because I just love the idea that, motivated by the low of lows and finding out that LaRusse has been training his son the whole time, and as he basically all the sobering progress Johnny Lawrence makes, he's back in the downward spiral, but he's kind of saving face for the tournament. So he has his game face on for "we're all gonna die" moment. We have this lesson of no mercy, which again I love. We've been kind of building up the lessons on the wall throughout the season. Strike first obviously was a big one. The whole getting punched in the face and enter Aisha. But history repeats itself, but in Johnny Lawrence's favor at the end of the season, but at the cost of the relationship with his actual son, Robbie. It's the full circle to the opening of the series. Johnny, he gets the hero treatment, but now he's seen the gray areas. Now he's not the 80s boy. He's like, I want this, but now he says, maybe I didn't want that. Well, I didn't want it the way I got it here. He lost. It's the cost of victory. He kind of has the sobering cost of victory. He's going to lose his son. Miguel's soul is now in jeopardy. Again, it's not lost, but it's in jeopardy because now he kind of sees those gray areas where now season 2 is going to be about him trying to fight for Miguel's soul, which Kreese is going to challenge. And it's like literally that action that he did. This action invites the ultimate step backwards to his past via John Kreese.
Mm-hmm. No, you're making some great points. I guess that and that's just a great job of the show. It's like they're taking these things on a journey. We are going to get into these gray areas in season 2, and it's just some of them are just more uncomfortable situations, and so it's almost kind of like taking you like that fun, right? All right, now we're going to show you some other stuff over here with these characters, but you'll get back to the fun, and they do. So I don't know. I'm just saying that you're kind of turning my tide on Johnny's evolution, because I do get why he needed to go there, and also I'm remembering now way more moments in season 2. The cement truck training episode, for example, is just I was like, yes,
man, yeah.
I mean, you kind of feel like unleash the dog on the kids, technically. And we remember, I think Hawk had to get the rabies shot too. Like there was, Johnny's had some missteps, but his heart was in the right place.
I love he's not even thinking that they could die.
I love now after that though. He's thinking about hey, once we get Stingray, hey, parents can't stay. It's for insurance reasons. All right, so season 2, I guess we'll jump into it. So the theme of season 2, I feel, is balance. It's very much we've now earned Danny LaRusso as kind of our main story. It seems, in that we've humbled him a little bit. We're going to humble him even further so he can go on an arc like Johnny did in the first season. Which, I guess, let's go from Miggy to the Miyagi-Do of it all, guys. How do we feel about Miyagi-Do's epic return?
Right.
Go ahead,
Josh.
Oh, we're so polite here.
I know, right?
No, I this is where season 2 especially is where I wish I had more of the history in the movies, because him going to that car park, I was like, oh, this has got to be such a significant thing, the way they're shooting this and revealing things, that I'm sure it would stir up emotions if I had the basis for it. So that being said, also I will say my least favorite episode was where Johnny Lawrence goes to rekindle with his old Cobra Kai guys, and one of them dies or something. But anyway, that's another I'm just kind of wrapping it all into. Didn't see the movies, so this is now where I'm like, oh, I wish I did, because I don't emotionally connect to these things as well. As far as Miyagi-Do opening and finally creating a rival school, love that piece of the story. I think it was so necessary. One character we didn't talk that kind of embodies what Miyagi-Do will be and be along for the ride with them and gravitate there is Dimitri. And I don't know how I'm so mixed on Dimitri. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it from both of you. But yeah, that's kind of my intro piece on Miyagi-Do. Tiki, if you want to go ahead with yours.
Yeah. Well, what I like about Miyagi-Do is that, like I said about my intro with season, with LaRusso, like kind of my thesis statement for him. I love that Miyagi-Do, kind of the heart of it. It's like, it's kind of doing the right things for the wrong reasons. You know, it's like LaRusso is just, he's so absorbed in this whole, like, kind of like, it almost becomes like a self-parody of those movies about the inspirational school teacher who has to do right by these kids. You know, it's like he's trying so hard, but he's just not getting anywhere. But at the same time, I mean, it is interesting how the two factions kind of develop. As for Dimitri, I honestly think Dimitri is one of the more interesting characters because I can totally see him being like really obnoxious, and he is. But here's the thing: I have known people like that. I am sure at some points in my life, in certain social circles, I have been this person. So, in spite of him almost being like cartoonishly like neurotic, I feel like it's a realistic kind of neurotic, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So funny thing about Dimitri. Okay, so one, you know, it's so funny you mentioned that thing because I know someone who looks exactly like Dimitri. When I watch the show, like, oh my god! I mean, it doesn't sound like him at all. I mean, he's basically he's a little more confident in this guy.
Yeah.
To him. But okay, here's the thing. So I mean, it's not quite as Brighton Beach Memoirs, you know. It's but anyway. Here's what I like about Dimitri. Dimitri is kind of the more successful version of LaRusso's son and Anthony. I'm not saying like he's like equal to that of that figure in LaRusso's life. I'm just saying is like kind of like take the kind of the very kind of like the character can be very easily the unlikable character of the season.
Yeah.
But I think Dimitri buys it back here in the sense of how he works as a cog in the story here, where basically he is the big student challenge. For LaRusso, kind of again, basically LaRusso's big thing this season with the Miyagi-Do of it all is again he's basically, you know, we're kind of balancing out the equal and opposite forces here. Again, the whole action reaction telltale effect on season 2, all the choices that have payoffs. Where again, LaRusso strikes first, and the minute he sees John Kreese back, he kind of loses cool and says, I'm going to push forward with Miyagi-Do. He's giving away lessons for, you know, he's basically planting the flag. He's inciting a little bit of a war there when there doesn't need to be. He's striking first, which kind of dooms him for what happens to him in the season. So anyways, as he acquires students and everything, eventually Dimitri was had like a great arc kind of bouncing around from he was kind of in the Cobra Kai space. And, well, I mean, he's already not fitting in when Johnny Lawrence kind of takes him down a bit. And then the scene with Kreese is just, God, it's like I love that we don't see it. I just love that we don't see it. When Sensei Kreese like just needling away at John Kreese, and you know, it's like jumping around in a red outfit in front of a bull. It's like, oh God, he's so doomed.
Here's what I don't mean to like skirt back, but I guess now that we've opened up season 2, we can kind of talk in a full circle way. I was so into the dynamic of Eli and Dimitri, Hawk and Dimitri, whatever you want to call them. But like as far as them being cut from the same cloth and going separate directions in how they approach Cobra Kai and their views on it. And I think I was just disappointed in Dimitri's character of like how that side of things, because Hawk is handled so well, and Dimitri, I feel, could have been like they missed some potential of how that could have gone. Like I guess my example is when Dimitri's doing that whole party speech, like revealing him, that should have meant so much more. But because Dimitri's a little piece of shit, I'm like, kick his ass, Hawk. What are you standing for? Like,
I'm with you. And again, Josh, that's what I'm saying. He struck first when he shouldn't have.
You know? He did. Get that Miyagi-Do crap out of here.
Okay, but in all seriousness, I'm half joking. But here's the thing: I love that Dimitri's like the self-aware test to LaRusso. Like he's like this is the modern day generation, the realistic Karate Kid of today that you're dealing with in the Valley, where it's okay. You have the coddled generation of Dimitri, where literally a millennial in the Karate Kid world here, where it's like this. I love that it proves a point to Cobra Kai. It's a feather in Cobra Kai's cap that even though LaRusso's fighting as far as he can, he has to admit they're not entirely wrong about. Yeah, we're kind of coddling the kids today. I'm not saying we should feed them to the dogs, but Dimitri is proof that I think we've coddled the kids too much.
Okay, that's a great Great point.
He's like the test. Again, this whole season like begins with the humbling of we like imagine. I'll think of all the pot shots we wonderfully take of LaRusso to kind of get him to the Johnny Lawrence start place of last season, where when he fully doubles down on the whole, he's in the gi, he's doing the commercials, like the whole snake in the grass thing. He's doing some petty stuff there, but more importantly, he's putting himself out there. It's like full on karate. It's like I think it's Machio were about this show, but they're making it work for the story here, where he's invited all the skepticism of the PC world of today. It's just I love the whole PC whitewashing criticism he's dealing with. Never in a million years would you think LaRusso, such an iconic story, they would be dealing with like, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, of course people on the internet aren't going to be happy with him. It's whitewashing. He stole the bonsai from old Miyagi. What's he doing?
Yeah, I love that. That's a great bit.
The kids come to him. They think he's a car. He's literally doing a car salesman.
I kind of wish more had been done with that from a plot perspective. Like, I feel like that issue is resolved pretty quickly.
But the first 3 episodes, we just knock him down. Like, every time he gets up, we knock down all the iconography. Okay, he's he's in the outfit, and he gets shut down for the whitewashing. He's basically doing the whole wax on, wax off. But they're thinking, oh, he's literally a car salesman trying to get us to do his chores. No wonder it's free. When you pay, I'm going to the snake guys, and then the fire and ice demo, the whole demonstration like breaking the ice.
Yeah.
Again, yeah. Gets outshined. Again, he kind of brought all of this on himself because, again, he just couldn't let it go. Like his wife and everyone's been telling him, just let it go.
Yeah. And that's, I guess, I'm trying to remember, and I did not get to rewatch the second season again. And like I said, I'm way more familiar with the first one because of watching it all the way through 2 times. What is going on with Kreese is just kind of getting infiltrated into Cobra Kai while Daniel's falling in those first few episodes, right? Like, it's just kind of the classes are growing. Everything's kind of like coming up Cobra Kai, right?
Yeah, everything's going great obviously there's a very big bump at the start with Cobra Kai with the whole, this is how he gets to Home Depot, by the way, when he basically he gets into the fight with Kreese after we have the big, teasy kind of thing at the end of first season where Kreese shows up with a cigar saying, we're only just beginning. And then we show with the other half of that scene where, oh God, he's not happy that it's just beginning. They're kicking the crap out of each other because, hey, you tried to kill me and you broke my trophy, breaking the glass, which then gets replaced at the Home Depot. So after that hiccup, again, that's the symbol, that's the other side of the equation, the whole balance of the season, where Daniel LaRusso is trying to balance the past and the present, where Johnny Lawrence is kind of doing that in internalized, where he's trying to make peace and forgive Kreese. He's trying to move forward, but also bring the past back with him. So that's the balance. He's trying to have the Cobra Kai as it is today with the ultimate symbol of what it was at its worst in the past. He's trying to prove, like, I had a second chance. The first season is a testament to me getting my second chance, and that the ultimate test to be faced with is, can I redeem, or can this show redeem and add layers to John Kreese? And the answer is kind of, but not really. The answer is
he just screams like he's like Jafar walked into the room. Like it just everything.
Dragon. I'm gonna tease you with something, Dragon. I didn't think I was gonna have to do this, but I'm just gonna tease you right now. Season 3. There's something they do with Kreese that I think you're gonna just really fucking love. Like right away, the moment that it happens, I think you're gonna be like, "Oh my God, that's genius." So stay tuned, buddy. I think Kreese. There is more to come with Kreese. Don't think he's as black and white as
no, I don't
see him on surface level.
Well, he's cooking up something. The minute he mentioned the brumation thing, like the snake hibernation, like the idea that this whole first season, Johnny is licking his wounds, where Kreese, he's waiting for his moment to strike. That's so creepy. He literally faked his death a second time, and that's a sign that was in the third movie.
You might say he was waiting like a stingray.
Yeah. Well, no wonder he kind of grew like that guy after he pulled off that victory.
When he showed up at school, I think I stood up. I got so excited. Man, okay, let me rattle. Okay, wait, actually, some moments and episodes from season 2 that I really enjoyed. I want to point out, because I'm definitely, I'm a writer, especially a big fan of serialized writing. I love the little touch of setup of Aisha talking to, oh my God, I'm blanking on Daniel's daughter's name. Remind me,
Sam. Samantha. Well, you Sam.
Sam. So she's talking to Sam and saying we could really use another girl, you know, and like just that little tease at the end of season 1 in the finale. And I love that. Oh, great. It was so paid off that, yes, Sam is going to be an integral part of the fighting in the next season, you know. And in addition to that, my point that I really wanted to make, aside from praising the show, is how do we feel about the new character introduced to make this love triangle a square?
Well, yeah, we should talk about Stingray. I'm so glad you brought it up. But no, we all love Stingray, but not.
Oh, that'd be a really different show, Dragon.
Anna doesn't really have an arc. She's balancing on a little tire with Robbie, whatever. Stingray.
No. But yeah, Tori and Stingray. So yeah, I think they're great new additions. Of course, the great Paul Walter Hauser. I mean, how can we? Again, he was in the running for Ponce. We didn't go with him, but we loved him.
Wow, really interesting.
Yeah, he almost in the role again. If we went a little older.
It's so funny you say that. I was like, oh wow, Alex would have killed that role as Stingray. But also I want to point out a fun fact for you all. Do you remember the bully in season 1 who's a friend of the what's the main Asian bully's name? Kyle or
it was something like that.
Yeah, anyway. You know how he has his friend who's like always making those sassy comments, low overweight, curly hair?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He's got Pepto or like whatever. Alex was very close in the running for that role. He auditioned.
Really? Oh my god!
I think he got a call back and everything. He was going up for that role specifically. Back when it was.
Did do stunts though?
He could have gotten his ass kicked, that's for sure. I don't think that kid did anything aside from get his ass kicked in that show. So anyway, but say that was an actual role he went for. But for Stingray, I was like, oh man, Alex would have destroyed Stingray as well.
He would have.
Okay, you know what the funny thing about that is, just kind of retroactively. So Paul Walter Hauser, I think Paul Walter Hauser is just like that guy is just going places. Like I just think the sky's the limit for him as an actor after Richard Jewell. But the first time I saw him was in Black Klansman, and I swear to God, the whole time I was watching Black Klansman, I was thinking, like, oh, this is a great, really compelling movie. But that guy in the background just looks so much like Poncio. I can't shake it.
Amazing. Just a real side note, would you guys recommend that Richard Jewell movie?
I really like it.
I think it's super underrated. It's one of Clint Eastwood's best in years.
I love it when Clint Eastwood directs.
I had no idea. I know Sam Rockwell was in that, which
he's great. Rockwell's great.
But yeah, I had no idea it was Stingray. I'll go watch it just for that guy. I'll support that.
Yes,
definitely. I mean, my God, yes. Also, Tiki, we have visual. We need the regain.
I don't know why that always happens. Like the longer we go, it just randomly conks out. Anyways,
yeah, weird. Anyway, but yes. So also, Tori. I like that Tori. We do a subversion with her. You know, she's like a surface level. She seems like kind of like Cobra Kai bully. Kind of top material there. But really, she's got a friendly demeanor. She gets the misnomer of being like the bully, or like basically she gets the misnomer of being Robbie Keane, right? She's the thief at first. Where no, not a thief.
Hey, sorry.
Yeah.
No, bring me back. Bring my avatar back. Bastards!
And this bullish is clamoring for FaceTime. We're literally put him on the posters. Not satisfied.
Oh, God.
I want my avatar to have that little circle. Oh man, I used to love those sing-along videos. What is it, that Al? The sing-along with Disney songs. A Disney sing-along.
Yeah, Disney sing-alongs. We did a whole theme month on that recently.
Oh hell yeah, man! Those were my shit as a child.
Disneyland one, Josh.
I never owned that one. I owned.
Oh God! Oh, don't get me started. I could go down a rabbit hole. Oh God!
I owned one very specific one from a radio station, and those were like videotapes that I watched every day as a child. I had like 5 or 6 of them. Anyway, side notes, tangents is what we all love, but let's get back to some Cobra Kai. Sorry.
Let me talk about I think the best scene in season 2.
Can I guess that it is either the showcase at the fair or the final fight?
Neither. I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I have different scenes in mind.
What's that?
The burger scene with Miguel.
Oh, you were going for heart. Oh, I'm sorry, Dragon. My bad. I should.
Yeah.
I
So
love that scene. Go ahead.
So I love the burger scene with Miguel because it's this great thing. I think it's the ultimate kind of high point in the father-son kind of story we're doing here, where we learn. So basically, once Hawk and Hawk and Miguel, they find out about Robbie Keane. Which, by the way, that's another thing I call BS on season 2. There is no way Miguel looks at that picture on the fridge of young Robbie Keane and knows that it's the same guy. The name's not on there anywhere. There's no way he can just see that kid. It looks very, very good.
That is what I like to call it. That's like a classic example of when the show dips into like soap opera logic.
I mean, to be fair, Miguel is a teenager. This is probably his first girlfriend, and this is the guy who took his first girlfriend. He's got that face burned in his brain.
Yeah, but he's a kid, man. Who can tell?
He's dreaming about kicking this kid. No, I'm just saying, like, it's a stretch that I can see. I'm giving the writers a pass.
I'll give them a pass. I'm not stingy. I'll give them a pass.
Hold on, Dragon. I'm writing a pass right now for these writers.
All right.
Anyway,
so that's what I'm saying. I love within all this, after the whole Robbie affair, they're kind of facing a little bit of a rough patch here. Why are you holding it against us? We won, we were victorious, but basically you're saying we should no mercy unless it's your son. I love how Johnny nips that in the bud with this really great. It's a simple scene too in our big fight show. I love how it boils down to these really kind of these nice dialogue scenes here where it's he tells him essentially a story about Robbie, where Robbie's not even in focus, really. It's about Johnny failing his kid on his first day in the world at the hospital. I love that the hospital does come. It's a full circle setup and payoff for the hospital, given Miguel's arc, where, again, the son figure ending up in the hospital, essentially. And ultimately, again, Johnny Lawrence coming up short when the moment came to it. And he vows to be on Miguel's side and have his best interests at heart. And again, it's just this. It's kind of this tragic foreshadow, because ultimately what happens, and the thing kind of breaks my heart by the end of the season, is the moment that Johnny Lawrence, trying to move forward, he's kind of patched things up with his son a little bit. He's being there for his son in kind of towards the very end of the season, and like the one time in the entire series so far, 2 seasons, the one time in the 2 seasons, he doesn't defer to Miguel. The one time he's not there for Miguel with that phone call.
Oh, God, what a great
plot. The one time he picks his actual Sunday, Johnny Lawrence can't win. That's what the show's premise is. This man cannot win, even if he wins the All Valley. He fundamentally, so far, they're saying he can't win. That's why you're still rooting for him after all this time. It's the fact that he picks his own son. Who can fault him for that? But the surrogate son suffers so dearly. And again, because of these warring dojos between these two knuckleheads who can't let the past go, they've incited all this chaos and everything. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The point being, the burger scene is a wonderful way of teeing all this up. It's a great center.
Let me ask you guys this: did that burger scene framing not remind you of Peter Parker and Miles Morales?
Yeah, it's a little. Yeah,
like just like when he's like, "Oh, I thought this place closed years ago." In my opinion. Like I was like, wow, this is a very similar framing to like where they're placed, where they're seated. So, no, I love that scene. I loved the phone call plot device of that message playing over. Oh my, it was beautiful. And that's where like this show goes from having like, there's some cheese moments, but then sometimes that cheese will like dip into the real feels territory for you. Especially when dealing with a character that you're so invested in, like Miguel. Like Miguel was the perfect. And can we just start talking about that final fight, his fall, and everything?
I have something to say about that final fight.
Okay, go ahead.
So I kind of I watched the trailer for season 3 just because I was curious. I don't know why I did that. Bastard. And first thing I see was Miguel on the hospital bed. And so, in a way, I got to tell you guys, it was kind of like a Hitchcock type thing where it's like, I knew that Miguel was going to get like really badly injured during this fight, but I didn't know how it was going to happen. So it was kind of like the classic, like you place the bomb under the table and wait for it to go off. You know what I mean? You watched the whole time the fight was going on, I had this extra layer of like, oh God, I know something terrible is going to go down.
How could you watch that season 3 trailer before you had watched season 2?
I don't know.
The boy doesn't think, Josh. I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes
I have friends like you, and they infuriate me. Where like we're watching a movie and they're on their phones googling spoil. I'm like, what the fuck are we watching this for? Like, if you're gonna...
I'm with you, Josh. I'm with you.
So,
but
look,
yeah,
I was like midway through season 2, and I was curious, like, what the tone of season 3 was going to be like.
Yeah, you know what I'm hearing? I'm hearing someone who couldn't wait until the season.
Pretty much.
I'm just like, if that were me though, like when those things happen to me, I can't keep going. Like I've stopped watching things because they've gotten spoiled, and I'm like, no.
But like I said, Joshy, if anything, it kind of enriched the experience for me because of the suspense factor. I don't know what to tell you.
It's tense. I disagree with your watching experience, but I'm glad you enjoyed it, my friend.
Can I hit on one thing before the big brawl? I'm very curious because I think it might be the most divisive episode of the series. What do y'all think of season 2, episode 8, the romance episode?
Okay, that's my other favorite scene in the season. I love the double date so much. I love
double date is wonderful, but the 80s music video dream is just fucking impeccable.
I think the jacket bit's kind of cute. The fact that Miguel's wearing the same jacket, that's a cute little reference.
I think I need to rewatch it because I love the way that ends with Robbie and Sam showing up at Johnny's doorstep. After a perfect evening.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think it's just, I don't know. I liked more so the Daniel and Johnny scene at the bar, where they go like see the old place. They like where he's test driving. I think that's in season 1, right? So I do love like the skirting of their friendship. Like, you know, if you took some certain things away, these guys would be boys. They would be.
Oh yeah, totally.
And I appreciate that. I think I just need to give that episode a rewatch. If you guys are, I'm not remembering it as highly as you guys are touting it right now, but you're making me want to go back.
You know what? I'm not even necessarily touting it. I just think it's interesting.
You're touting, baby. You're touting.
I just think it's interesting, like structurally, that like towards the end of this giant kung fu soap opera, we get an episode that's basically solely focused on the relationship side of things. Like, hey, how does Johnny date? Like, what's dating like for Johnny?
And again, it has to do this because, as Josh kind of mentioned earlier in season 1, again, Karate Kids, that movie, which of course was very pivotal in our two characters' lives here, where it's over a girl. It's a fight over a girl. So it has to be romance. It's the key to the whole thing. And you know something, Josh, because you brought it up earlier, the alley thing. I love that when we hear Johnny Lawrence recounting it to the young lad who essentially hasn't seen the events close up. he's recounting the story from his perspective. Of course, little unreliable narrator. But what I love is at the top there's one
asshole.
I love there is one detail that he never considered, is that, you know what, Johnny Lawrence says that he was considering, he thought he could patch things up. They had a little casual fight. You know, it wasn't like, you know, just basically we always think about like, oh man, he was always bad news. Where no, it's just he got into a fight. He was confident they were going to patch things up, but before he got to do that, LaRusso showed up. And here's the thing I also forgot about that. Man, LaRusso did kind of incite that thing during the big Halloween, you know, kind of thing where he's going out of his way. Again, he's striking first. He's dousing him with the water. He's bullying him for a second in retaliation. Again,
that kind of added layer would be like me making an episode saying that Frank and Addison's only fight was that the Joker witnessed. Like,
exactly.
You know? Right. he was going to apologize later. No, but that is a great detail. I mean, do you guys? Is it Elizabeth Shue? Am I correct?
Yeah, Elizabeth Shue. Yeah.
And she has to come in, right? They're just saving.
They've been setting her up. Remember, she's on Facebook. We called her in. I don't know how she's going to come back, but she's going to come back.
I didn't watch it, but I was pissed to see that she was in the Reunited Apart that they did with them. because that made me like almost certain that she's coming back. And I was like, oh, save it for when you show up on screen, baby.
Yeah.
Well, again, they were renewed for a fourth season.
everything.
There is always the outside chance they might save it for the fourth, but I mean, I don't think it's because again, she was doing the boys.
She was literally the cliffhanger of season 2.
That's a great point to make, is that season 3 has been ready since last year. That they've been sitting on it. Netflix could have released all 3 seasons when it dropped, but they are like, I've heard Billy Zabka talk about this and Ralph Macchio, that they're like, Netflix are just geniuses. They're like, no, we're only going to do the first 2. We're going to hold off and then we'll drop it. And it's like, oh, wow.
Smart. That's honestly
that is really smart.
Yeah. So, because they were new, they're like, oh, yeah. Everyone's like, but the first 2 seasons have been out. Yeah, on YouTube Red. We'll put it out on our channel, okay?
But again, speaking of genius ideas, again, just with the double date sequence that we do get, I just love that we're forcing LaRusso and Lawrence to have this civil dinner together with the really smart women of the show, calling them out how silly their rivalry is, how over the top their rivalry really is. Like, oh yeah, this is are 2 tables okay? And then this Amanda says, oh yeah, my husband and his friend here like at a karate war. They were in karate dojos. And this ultimately leads to this great olive branch acknowledging, the gray of things here, where like LaRusso kind of sees like, oh man, he really didn't know about Kreese. Again, but of course, I think the most heartbreaking thing of the season, one of the most heartbreaking things that happens in the season, is the destruction of Miyagi-Do and stealing the Medal of Honor and the defacing the symbol of the car. The car is key. Again, Johnny Lawrence makes his car a walking symbol of Cobra Kai that he then abandons by the end of it. The cars yet again are key.
Mm-hmm. I love the scene where John Kreese visits Miyagi-Do.
And he puts the cigar out in the bonsai.
I was like, because it just cemented that Mr. Miyagi was gone. And it was like really sad. Like, oh, he's now like this old sensei gets to come back on this turf. And now Daniel really has to step up, but he's alone, Like, I don't know. It really impacted me, even though, like, my only real reference of Mr. Miyagi is Arnold from Happy Days. But
hey, I love him as Arnold in Happy Days.
I love him as Arnold too, man.
They're always doing like they laugh. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah. Okay, so let me rattle off a couple things I loved.
Yes.
Too here. Cement Truck, that whole episode brought back what I was feeling was lacking in my Johnny Lawrence for a couple episodes. The Cobra Kai crashing the Miyagi-Do showcase at was it like a fair or something? A carnival?
It's like Valley Fest or something.
Yeah. That was, I was like, I just get pumped when the show succeeds at making you feel what they intended you to feel. And it was like, get hyped for Cobra Kai. And I was. The mall fight was great because that kind of cemented the Miyagi-Do training that they've been learning for those students. I thought that was cool. The brawl in the woods, Stingray. Oh my God, winning that! That was amazing.
And again, that's very key to get for Stingray not to just be a joke and to earn the name Stingray. We have to give him that one win. It's very key.
Exactly. Yeah, and like just earn his spot there. It was so great. The roller rink, I was like, holy shit. Tori is her name?
Yeah, Tori's the new girl.
Dude, Tori, I was scared of Tori after that roller rink night. I was like,
remember, she's got like a little bracelet weapon, man, like a little like almost brass knuckle.
Like, the way she
I like how she makes the brass knuckles like her brand.
Yeah.
Tori's a bad bitch, like that actress did a phenomenal job.
But very key, not all bad though. I love that again. Desperation kind of made her this way, and people judging her first made her that way.
I feel like the way Tori come across is what I wish I could have written for Crystal in Erase Away, if you guys remember that.
Yeah, oh no, you're right. Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, like just the way she's written, the way she's portrayed. I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly right. She just wants her piece. Don't touch mine. So, but yeah, and then of course the finale, everything about the finale, like the fight, the phone call message, voicemail playing afterwards, the him throwing his phone, the Facebook message popping up. Like, even though I don't know the Elizabeth Shue character, the way they built her up has been so great. And
it's going to be interesting with the Shue character because she again was the big thing they were fighting over, and basically, I forget if it was because she was in Back to the Future this time or not. I'm not sure, but the thing is, she probably not, like right after First Karate Kid, they couldn't get her. I think so. They wrote her out of the movies really unceremoniously, and this show's kind of calling. I think could do a lot with that here. Like, yeah, why she has moved on? Like, I think what they're going to do is she's the only character out of our main three that have moved on, seemingly successfully and without issue.
Or third dojo.
Sure, Josh. Third dojo.
Well, I don't know. I mean, given the way that season 2 wraps up, we might get a third dojo.
No.
Well, okay, you're not wrong about that, but still, I mean,
sense that I guarantee at some point there's going to be a third entity that combines Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do to join forces. That is just the logical next beat in the story that's going to evolve.
Sure.
I like that within the whole rivalry there. I love that there was fault on both sides between the dojos. That I mean, again, Miyagi-Do called him out first and offered free lessons, but yes, Cobra Kai, they showed him up at Valley Fest and like ruined their little ice trick, knowing that's what they're going to pull. There's fault on both sides.
Can we let's discuss for a hot second here. The phase was great. It was a great moment, but I just feel like it was a little too intense for him to be alive and potentially recover.
He falls like Mufasa, man.
Onto his back. I mean,
okay. I'm going to talk about the finale here for a second because so all the whole school karate cast. This is an issue I have with season 2 where let me put it this way: the sequence, the fight, that whole shebang is amazing.
Technically, it's wonderful, but just like in terms of plot, it's. I feel like it's when the show just dials it up to 10 in the karate.
So the school karate chaos of the big the whole just giant brawl. It's a buy. It's an amazing buy. But here's the thing, though. It's kind of hard for me to say that it's earned. Because, I mean, I guess it's earned because we've done so well up to this point.
I think it's earned enough just because they do a good job, especially with the party beforehand. Dragon, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like a slightly better version of how 13 Reasons Why used to build up to their school fights. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean,
where like we kind of get like these like boiling points of different characters, kind of like slowly, kind of like coming to fruition in the big brawl.
Yeah, I mean, again, the build up. Yeah, go on.
Why in the later seasons? Because I've only seen season 1.
Oh, Josh, 13 Reasons Why. You should. Let me
stop
say
at
this,
one, Josh. Just stop at one.
It turns into a completely different show, but I think it's an amazing, so bad it's good watch.
The 4th season is just so terrible. It's just
it goes. Oh, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe the directions.
I mean, 3 has kind of like a bit of an in, but really, it's I don't think ultimately.
I don't think I could take it if her mom is still around, suffering from grief. Because that final episode, I was like, I don't ever need to see this mom cry again.
Seriously, do you ever get to Umbrella Academy?
I've seen season 1 of that. I haven't finished that one either.
Either way, Kate Walsh, the mother from Hannah Baker's mother from the 13 Reasons Why, she plays the lady in charge of the Time Travel Bureau in Umbrella Academy. She's great. So she's in the 1st season. So
actually, since we're talking Netflix shows right now, have you guys watched Money Heist?
No, but that's the most generic title I've ever heard. No offense.
Oh my God. It's a dubbed show from Spain. Watch it in English. That's fine. The dubbing is great as far as the voice actors and stuff, but it is like a bank heist stretched over seasons, which sounds awful. It's
really?
I heard Kevin Smith talked about it. I've heard about this.
It is such a good show. I love that show.
That sounds super intriguing. I've seen that show tossed around, but the title, I can't get over the title.
No. I mean, I think it's because it's translated, but yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, the show is so good. The characters are so cool in it, and the way they do it is basically the premise of the show is a bank heist keeps going right, and then to us, the audience, they reveal why because of this master plan in place, and they do flashbacks and stuff. It's so cool. Yeah, I would highly recommend that show if you have not watched it. I wish I had your virgin eyes to go back and see it. Anyway, sorry. So finale.
We get back, just back to the chaos at the school. So again, the Beyblade is earned because I like the lead up in that there's like blame the telltale choices of the season all come to a head within this episode, where again like all like little choice about the little deceptions. Like I'm not gonna tell Sam, Robbie, he's not gonna tell Sam that Miguel he reclaimed the medal and handed it to him and offered an apology and explanation as to what happened there. And Robbie does not say that. He just basically, oh look, there's the medal. And again, he tells the truth too late. She doesn't mention the kiss, but again, some stuff gets in the way. So yeah, all this chaos on. I love that Miguel's not exactly the bad guy in this situation, where again she instigated it. She hasn't taken.
Even if you thought he was the bad guy, he redeems himself before he falls like Mufasa.
That's what I'm saying. I've always had as a kid, you ever had those thoughts of when you go up the stairs that high, and especially the school stairs, you never do it because it's crazy. But you ever have the fantasy? I wonder what would happen if you could pull a superhero landing or something
I also want to get when I saw them climbing those stairs, I was like, oh god.
But it's like the childhood fantasy realized in the most horrific way possible, though. If you tried to make the leap to something terrible like this would happen.
I knew something bad was going to happen, and I was just like, okay, here it comes.
Right. Well, and here's what I'm going to give the show another pass for. Let me write it up. The fact of you're kind of saying the fight was a little over the top, can't really buy that this is happening in the school. I think that they did their best by keeping it a oneer, a one shot, to make it feel like, okay, we're not seeing any time cuts. This is a lengthy fight, but in the sense of if they were doing cuts all over the place, you could fill in time.
Oh God.
Every time I get on a rant, I swear to God. But yeah, I was saying that even saying how, why isn't anybody stopping this? They address that with teachers coming in and getting hit or and then being like, oh, screw this.
Let me be clear. The action is fine. Okay, the action's, I'm sorry, it's amazing. The action's fantastic. And the Wonders, I absolutely agree. Again, Tiki and I are big fans of the Wonders from the Daredevil years. Of course, we've seen hallway fights in Wonders like you wouldn't believe. But again, it's just still that teacher vibe. Really? No one's stopping this?
I can buy the teacher thing.
It takes the security so long to get here. Really? It takes them that long.
I mean,
I'm saying it helps with this is not worth what I get paid, which I totally believe. If I were a teacher, I'd be like, fuck that. I don't know if you guys are aware of what retail rules are. If you go into a store and steal something, no one at any retail establishment is allowed to touch you, stop you, aside from verbal warnings. They instruct their employees, do not get involved, call the police. So said,
I once had a customer that was adamantly pointing out a shoplifter, and I kind of had to explain that to them, and it was a very awkward situation.
Okay, but perfect that I used to work a job where I did promotions, and I was at a gas station at a 7-Eleven. A guy walked in, went to the back, picked up two Mickeys, two huge 40-ounce beers, and walked straight out with them. And the clerk was just yelling. And then I was like, why don't you go do something? He's like, we can't go do anything. We can just yell. I was like, oh, okay. That's great. But anyway, and then looking up that rule. So anyway, I buy the fact that teachers see it, are not going to get physically involved. They're calling the police most likely. And I also buy the fact that the police wouldn't make it there in time for what we see. So I didn't have to suspend my disbelief in any regard for this fight. I'm defending it.
I mean, look, fair enough. Yeah.
Is that fair? The number of students that's involved is it escalates really quickly in that regard.
Okay.
What I'm saying, Josh, is even if there is, I'm saying ultimately it balances out. So again, I think it easily gets a buys given the quality of the show and everything. And your points are fair, and we do address it a little. But I'm just saying proportionally, the scale of it's just something about it feels a little disproportionate. It just feels a little, man, this is getting a little too big. I mean, I know it's a full on karate war, but I don't know. It's
I guess also I was aware I was watching the finale, so I was like, "Damn right, this is happening. Like, this better be."
Okay, but amazing. I'm sorry, go on.
No. I'm just trying to emphasize my bullshit points. Go ahead, Dragon. Whatever you were going to say.
As amazing as, again, all that is fantastic against the build and again the brutality of the fight, and of course, but again, we're talking about the fall itself, which again, very Mufasa like as it is. But
yeah, I really want to put a meme together of him falling and then Dad.
Of Johnny's like, what? Miguel!
Miguel! Dad! Yeah.
Yes. Quiet. Oh, no, that's wrong. Okay, so no, but what I'm saying is the thing that leads to the fall, I think, is the most important action. Again, very much again, our big telltale moment here is again earlier in the season we had the big thing with Kreese and everything. Hence the whole balance of the show. Again, balance on LaRusso side we already talked about. Again, Amanda had that great piece of advice. The whole the whole, like, again, don't be Mr. Miyagi, be Mr. LaRusso, find your own way. And again, ultimately, he's got to find a way to balance because he really hurts his business a lot this season with all the dedication he's put into the Miyagi. But I love we call him out on that.
I was too. I was like, God damn, dude, don't you own an empire? What are you saying?
Giving free karate lessons and just like dedicating all the time to that. But,
but I guess that's the dream, right? You want to get paid enough that you can do what you want in your free time.
That is the dream. Now, on the flip side here, again, it's with the balance point, the whole John Kreese. But again, I've loved earlier in the season, we had this beautiful point here where the minute Miguel was kind of, again, basically after the wood sequence, when he kind of takes down Hawk, really it does like the no mercy strike. And again, I love we had that point too, where I love how Kreese, I'm sorry, there's a lot of love fest going on here, so forgive me, but I love that. John Kreese, when Johnny Lawrence goes on his little road trip with the little reunion with his Cobra Kai buddies. So the actual actors, and unfortunately, sad to report, the actor who played the dying Cobra Kai, ex-Cobra Kai, actually died in real life.
Rest in peace to that guy, but I'm sorry, my least favorite episode of the entire series.
Yep, I mean, Josh Thomas ain't too friendly on old poor Tommy here.
Oh, Tommy. I would light you on fire.
Okay. Like I'm saying is like so.
Jump of a human being. Okay.
So that scene is kind of the main takeaway from all that thing is that it's kind of put things in perspective for him about life. When after he says Miguel has made the point with Kreese that Sensei Lawrence says we should show mercy in the tournament setting essentially. There's no honor in just being merciless in a tournament where he says. Well, yeah, Sensei. I love how he delivers this too. Sensei Lawrence is right, but in the real world, there are winners and losers in the real world. As in, like you don't play by tournament rules in the real world. Therefore, that's the balance that we're kind of setting up there, where Miguel brings us up to Lawrence saying, hey. He's again real life. We're in the real world right now. So is this the kind of life you want to live, though? Again, after he's lost his buddy, he's kind of put it extra firmly in perspective for him, and that's the moment where he realizes Miguel's soul is kind of in jeopardy of being corrupted, which he just made that burger promise a couple of episodes earlier. He nips that in the bud. He kicks Kreese to the side. Says, "No, you're out of here." Like, no, we can't do this. And it all boils down to, again, that no mercy point about, again, like we need to be, there's no honor being merciless. He's tried to change his ways in a big fundamental way, which then brings us to this moment where the son, even after he's bonded with his son, which makes it even all the more tragic, Robbie Keane, again, the whole action-reaction thing, the person supposed to strike second strikes first in a big way when Miguel does not strike first, and that ends up with him taking a dive off the stairwell, and it's very sad. And again, it's the fact that he was trying to change per Johnny's arc, and that doomed him. And it's just so sad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I want out of season 3, boys. I don't ever want to hear Sam have any sort of ego problems because she literally has 2 guys fighting to the death over her. Better never have any sort of drama as far as like, oh, I don't know what to do. Anyway, girl, you're fine. Okay, people love.
And just to add to the sad parade here, of course, John Kreese, he stole Cobra Kai back.
Yes,
that was such a blow.
I mean, it needed to happen because it's so interesting. Like, we all watch so much TV, right? So there are these tropes of like, okay, you kind of expect everything's got to fall to shit, right? So that we can pick it up next time because we know it's coming back. Versus if you knew the show was ending, it's just kind of like going into it. You have these ideas and anticipations versus not, based on what, season finale, series finale, etc., etc. So I mean, I hated it as well, but then at the same time, I was like, well, great, let's go, season 3, come on.
Oh no, I was exactly the same way. Like, you feel terrible for Johnny, but at the same time, this is gonna sound cliche to say, but it's absolutely got that kind of like Empire Strikes Back thing going on.
Right, exactly. Yeah, perfect analogy.
All of our full circle, like little kind of sad, kind of symmetrical moments here, where again, John Kreese, the thing we've been fighting with since the beginning here to make Cobra Kai not this reflection. These kids are basically in dire straits under the tutelage of John Kreese, and again, they've all turned on Sensei Lawrence too. They've all been already brainwashed by this guy, which is just really sad. We're even kind of in the dark recesses of Cobra Kai within like the little back storage area of it too. Like, it's like the gnome. Yeah. I forget if it's like, I think Cobra Kai never. That's what it says. Cobra Kai never dies in the back.
I was like, when did this broom closet get so big? Where are they?
But again, wonderfully set up earlier. Well, you're raising my rent. I keep all your stuff here anyway. What are you doing?
Oh, can we also talk real quickly about my least favorite character, Robbie's mom? I mean, actually, my least favorite would be the boy who comes back.
Yeah, that's all our least favorite.
Yeah. But Robbie's mom, I was like, oh my God, I like this. Like, just get out of here, woman.
That felt very, very soap opera-y. Like, oh, how do we keep the LaRussos from knowing about this romance that's going on? Oh, mother pops up out of nowhere, like it's just the perfect time to complicate things.
And like the whole storyline, I think why I wasn't a fan of the Robbie living with the LaRussos in season 2 and Robbie not being my good character. I love the OC. It's one of my first shows that I really got into as a soap opera. That was like a soap opera on Fox back in the 2004. Oh, yeah. Yes. But that did that story right. Ben McKenzie, Gotham. You guys love him.
Oh, I love McKenzie. You got that right.
But yeah, he played Ryan Atwood and went to go live in the OC with a rich family, and that was beautifully told. This was a shitty version of that.
I did not know that Ben McKenzie was the lead in the OC.
I forgot that he was the lead, but I knew he was in the OC.
2 jobs, Tiki. Go watch the OC and then go watch Money Heist.
All right.
Dude, the OC is one of the best soap opera, primetime soap operas. It's Josh Schwartz, who went on to do Chuck, Gossip Girl. I don't know what else he worked on, but like Chuck and Gossip Girl, I mean, Gossip Girl petered out, whatever. But like, he was like one of my idols because I think he was 21 when he started the OC, and I was like, oh my God, he's the showrunner, he's writing. It's just such great drama and character building, and anyway. But my point is the whole, rugged poor boy living with the rich family. It was kind of just skirted in season 2 as a storyline, and I was just kind of like, whatever.
Well, again, Josh, the point of it there is that, again, he's living inside the house where, again, he could live with his father. Again, if you could just move past it. But again,
I saw it so much as like, okay, we need to get Robbie as a plot device into, like, I just saw it as such a plot device versus
basically for the Sam payoff in Johnny's apartment being,
a skirt with Johnny and Daniel fighting and then cut back to that like scene from the movie. I think they do it twice, like when he walks into the dojo and then when he walks into the apartment, and it's like every time it builds it up so great, and then they break the plasma like The Office.
Yep, I love how we keep building that up too by the epic rematch. We could tease up by the pool.
Avatar back. Sorry, you bastard.
No, I love that weekend. We tease it up with the pool fight, then Amanda instantly kind of deflates in the first season. Like, you got to kick each other into the pool. I love how Johnny looks at the pool like, oh, that's a good idea. I should kick him in the pool. now we're again that just again when LaRusso strikes first, when he kicks down that door, and again they're both like and again the fact that Johnny's the responsible one in the scene, it's just great progression on these two characters. Yet again, devolving into like the childish like fights they're talking at the problems over breakfast like they should have.
Oh, you're selling me on Johnny's evolution there, Dragon.
It's great.
I'll tell you.
Speaking of which, again, another full circle thing. Johnny on the beach. The beach, of course, being where they kind of first met. The first blows were struck in the Karate Kid franchise. Johnny with nowhere else to go, he goes to the beach to essentially the way I'm reading it, going into season 3, having not seen it, is that Johnny's like renouncing it all, assumedly to be in the moment, to be in. He's choosing not to live in the past or kind of this facade of like redefining the past, to be in the present in hopes of finding balance now, presumably like balance with Miguel. Presumably that's where he's heading off when he leaves the keys in the car after he kind of like throws the Coors Light at it, and his famous drink for the show, all the Coors Light.
Oh yeah, man, a lot of Coors in that. Okay, so do you guys want to speculate in the sense of like try to predict where season 3 is going to go? Like aside from, I know it goes to Okinawa, but like, any predictions on your end of what you guys would like to happen or will happen? A little of both, maybe.
Grandma, I'm on a show. Sorry.
That Grandma, you just made this shit the best part of this show. Grandma, I'm on a show, please. I love that. Sorry, Tiki, that was great.
Well, we weren't going to do. We weren't really going to spec because again we're so late to the party on this. But I mean, I know a few hanging chads we have. You want to kind of go through those like briefly?
Yeah, but we're just kind of running low on time, guys. So just
maybe you know what I mean. We'll save it when we actually when we know things about season 3. Let's just
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So we're just gonna go.
Oh, sorry, guys. Like, I have my headphones plugged in, and like, I was like trying to like gesture to her to not say anything, but then she just started talking. I was like, no. I don't want your voice on the podcast.
Anyway, but I mean, yeah. Again, all this falling onto Dan LaRusso's head too. Again, with that elevator scene, the silence between the two of them in that elevator scene also communicates all going to the next season. These two guys are in the same boat going for. I think that's really all that we need to kind of tee off going into season 3.
Yeah, so let's get into our final thoughts.
Sure. I'll go ahead and start. My final thoughts is I think that the show is excellent. I've recommended it to so many people. There's very you see shows, I'll give you an example of another show I just finished that I don't recommend to people that I also enjoyed, but Halt and Catch Fire, AMC drama show. About
I remember trying to watch that and just being super bored.
It's a hard show to get into, man.
Yeah.
And exactly for that reason, it's like I wouldn't recommend it to people, like if you want that, I don't know. Anyway, but the reverse effect of that is you watch Cobra Kai and it's like I've never even seen Karate Kid and I love this. It is so fun. You don't need any knowledge if you haven't seen it to get into it. If you have, all the more power to you. Again, we're talking about so many reboots and sequels these days. The fact of bringing back old properties, like it's not even enough that Will Smith and Kevin Hart are starring in a movie. They have to now star in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles together. It just, but that's the world we're in right now. And what I want more of is what was done with Cobra Kai from Karate Kid. What's being done, like Saved by the Bell reboot with Saved by the Bell, I feel is another great example of that. Taking these old properties is fine because once we hit a certain point in the internet being so readily available, everybody being on there, it stopped where we all were an audience of the same things. So I totally get bringing back these properties when we were all watching the same stuff because now it's so niche. Something comes out on, is that Peacock? Is that Apple TV Plus? Is that Disney Plus? Is that Netflix? Like, where did it come? I don't know. We're not all seeing the same shit. So we need to pull the properties from when we're all watching the same shit, which is what they did here. And it was done the best way I've seen so far. So I can't give the show props enough. I'm looking forward to season 3. and beyond. My only prediction that I will say is kind of what I said earlier, that I'm sure there will be a force that brings Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai together at some point. We'll see Elizabeth Shue. And aside from that, I have no idea.
Yeah, like I said, there's one thing in particular that they're doing with Kreese.
I can't wait for that.
There's one thing in particular that they're doing with Kreese in season 3 that I won't give away. But like I said, it's like when you realize what they're doing, you're gonna geek out about it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, but yeah, I'm very excited to see what comes. And yeah, I can't wait for more. Aside from Miguel walking again.
All right, Dragon.
Again, I'm so glad we can all experience this excellent show now. This is how you do compelling character drama and kind of reboot a franchise proper. It's proof that you don't need to go big or effects heavy or need like big names. I mean, the biggest name we have in this thing really is Ed Aston. Let's be honest. It's a good story. It's got characters you care about, and knowing. Based on this show, just with every episode, again, the addictive quality of the show, the show knows how to leave you wanting more. And my God, at the end of season 2, especially rewatching it, God, do we want more? And good news is we have more. Thanks to thinking ahead. Thanks to planning ahead.
All right, folks. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back sometime next week for the season 3 spoiler cast. Josh, really quick. Go ahead and plug some stuff. I probably should have had you do that right at the get-go.
Oh, it's all good, man. I just, anyone who's listening to this, if you're aware of me, I'm from Just Giggle It. I made Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the Real World. And I'm behind almost every sketch that comes out there. If just a plug for you guys that we have upcoming videos scheduled to come out in the next few weeks. I think we have 3 at the ready. And I'm excited about upcoming sketches, upcoming videos, and just thank you guys for having me on. It's great to catch up with you guys. I just can't thank you all enough for all the love you've given Just Giggle It over the years. And it's a pleasure to talk from a fan perspective with you guys. I love that. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a nice change of pace for sure.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see y'all later. Have a good night.
Cobra Kai never dies.
Victory!